Chapter 1042. The dazzling sky was filled with a strong smell of blood as a fierce battle unfolded amidst the flashes of swords and blades. The murderous Tan Xiu felt a surging force coming at him. Even though his physique was far stronger than those with the same cultivation level, he still couldn't help but tremble a few times. Interesting. Tan Xiu laughed wildly and dashed toward the nascent soul realm demonic beast at lightning speed. The sky was filled with lightning and formed a sea of lightning, causing the demonic beast to let out a shrill scream. The divine sword burst out, a 100-meter-long sword shadow that accurately bombarded the demonic beast's body. As blood splashed out, its figure was instantly bombarded hundreds of meters away. Crunch, crunch. The 10 golden core realm demonic beasts went berserk. They only had one mission this time, and that was to kill the powerful human, Tan Xiu, who had killed many of their companions. However, even their hidden commander was severely injured, which made them extremely furious. It was a nearly suicidal charge as they instantly appeared near Tan Xiu. Their sharp claws and fangs locked onto Tan Xiu without the slightest hesitation during the high-speed impact. "You're courting death." Tan Xiu once again conjured a thunder art. As the lightning bolts bombarded down, the divine sword also burst out a bright sword light that swept away everything in its path. Dismember. Kill. Tan Xiu, who had the confidence to fight against a late-stage nascent soul expert, killed all the 10 golden core realm demonic beasts in just a few breaths. He then instantly put the demonic beasts' corpses into his interspatial ring. No one saw that the moment Tan Xiu put away a demonic beast's corpse, his right hand had already blasted into its body and grabbed the fist-sized demon core lightning fast. Although the divine sword was very powerful, it also consumed a lot of his strength. There were still battles waiting for him, so he must restore his consumed strength as soon as possible. Puff, puff, puff. Tan Xiu and the Tang sect's disciples frantically attacked the bird species demonic beasts. What made Tan Xiu furious was that 2 Tang sect's disciples couldn't dodge in time and were hit by several demonic beasts, causing their bodies to fall to the ground. With Tan Xiu's eyesight, he could clearly see that the bodies of the 2 mid-stage Foundation Establishment Tang sect disciples had yet to fall to the ground and were already dead. On the ground, Bai Yuheng split up to attack the demonic beasts. This was his first time facing a magical beast. Even though he knew in advance that magical beasts were very strong, he never dreamed that they would be this strong. Even a small portion of the magical beasts were stronger than him. If it weren't for the 2 experts of the White Clan protecting him, he would have died several times at the hands of the magical beasts. Where did these damned beasts come from? Bai Yuheng brandished his long sword and pushed back a weaker demonic beast. Then he raised his head to look at the sky. He clearly saw that Tan Xiu had successfully killed 10 demonic beasts in just a few breaths. After a brief pause, he pounced on a group of bird species demonic beasts and started a massacre. Damn it! How can that bastard be so ridiculously strong? Bai Yuheng's heart felt like it had fallen into an ice cave. He didn't take Tan Xiu seriously before because he was full of jealousy and hatred. Coupled with the fact that he had lived like a prince since childhood and had a transcendent status, he not only went to provoke Tan Xiu but also proposed a bet with him. But now, after witnessing Tan Xiu's killing method and the speed at which his men killed the demonic beasts, he realized that he had lost, a crushing defeat. I can't admit defeat so easily. Maybe that damned bastard will die tragically in the hands of the demonic beasts in the next moment. Shui Yu is mine. And I, Bai Yuheng, will never lose to anyone in my life. Bai Yuheng's eyes were full of unwillingness. But while he was in a daze, 2 demonic beasts had already dashed to his back and left and launched fierce attacks at him. If he was hit, he would probably be killed in an instant. Young master. An old man with a head full of white hair, after forcing back a demonic beast with great difficulty, instantly blocked the attack on Bai Yuheng's back with a determined look on his face. Then he exerted force with his left arm and directly pushed Bai Yuheng away. Puff! The white-haired old man's back was pierced by a sharp bayonet. The mantis-like demonic beast was born with a strong bayonet. If the white-haired old man hadn't moved fast enough to push Bai Yuheng away, the bayonet would have pierced through his chest and into Bai Yuheng's body. Suabao! Bai Yuheng's face instantly turned pale, and his eyes burst with disbelief. He never thought that his momentary absent-mindedness would cause his most respected elder to die to save him. The white-haired old man's body crashed to the ground. Although he could feel the vitality in his body rapidly fading away, he still concentrated all his power on his right arm and fiercely swung it upward. Another demonic beast that pounced on him had its abdomen pierced by his bayonet, leaving a bloody wound of more than 10 centimeters long. "Young master, stay alive, stay alive." As the white-haired old man's voice faded away, his raised arm fell to the ground and his aura died. It was a fierce battle. Both the human cultivators and the demonic beasts had suffered great losses. Even Tan Xiao, who was comparable to a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, was injured in the fight. Although the injury was not serious, his complexion was still very unsightly. In this battle, the Tang sect lost 4 disciples, 6 were seriously injured and lost their combat power, and the rest were all injured. He broke through. With the end of the battle, only about 500 to 600 demonic beasts fled back to the depths of the Himalayas. Standing in front of the blockade line, Tan Xiao looked at Mo, who was rushing toward him. The latter wiped the bloodstain on his face and nodded. "I broke through. I'm at the early stage of Golden Core, but I still need to stabilize my realm." Tan Xiao nodded without a word. He looked at the 4 corpses of the Tang sect's disciples that were being carried and walked forward to collect their souls. He didn't want the disciples who died in the battle to enter samsara and reincarnate again. Every disciple of the Tang sect was a member of the Tang sect, whether alive or dead, a ghost of the Tang sect. A figure flickered lightning fast from a distance and appeared in front of Tan Xiao in the blink of an eye. Taoist Zixuan looked a bit sorrowful as she said, "Taoist Tang, can you help me collect the souls of the whole unitary sect's disciples who died in the battle?" "How many people from the whole unitary sect died in the battle?" asked Tan Xiao. 6, answered Taoist Zixuan bitterly. Tan Xiao sighed inwardly and nodded. "I'll help you since you've made up your mind. But you have to think about it clearly. You'll have to pay a huge price to resurrect them in the future. Some of them must break through to become an immortal and become a powerhouse in the immortal world. Do you have any secret technique that can allow me to communicate with them?" asked Taoist Zixuan. "Yes, but the price will be huge." Tan Xiao nodded. "I'm willing to pay no matter how big the price is," said Taoist Zixuan in a deep voice. Tan Xiao taught Taoist Zixuan the spiritual communication art and then said, "I'll trade this secret technique to your whole unitary sect in advance. You can use the cultivation resources to repay the debt in the future." "All right." Taoist Zixuan nodded with a grateful expression. Shortly after, Tan Xiao collected the souls of the whole unitary sect's disciples who died in the battle and handed them over to Taoist Zixuan. He then ordered the Tang sect's disciples to quickly collect all the demonic beasts' corpses and then return to the camp. The Tang sect had suffered great losses in this battle, so he needed to hurry up and heal the other disciples. The next day, Duanmu Lin came to the camp where the Tang sect's disciples were stationed, followed by Bai Yuheng, who wore an unwilling expression. After yesterday's battle, tens of the White Clan's members had suffered heavy losses. More than a dozen of them died in the battle and the rest were all injured. "You won, Tan Xiao." Bai Yuheng's expression was unsightly, but he braced himself and spoke. Tan Xiao shot him an indifferent look and lightly said, "Do you still remember the bet between us?" Bai Yuheng scowled and said in a deep voice, "Tan Xiao, don't go too far. I really want to see you again in the future. We can only become enemies in the future if you really push this matter to the extreme." Duanmu Lin also looked a bit hesitant and said, "Tan Xiao, this matter." Tan Xiao was silent for a few seconds and then indifferently said, "I won't bicker with you about the previous matter since your White Clan has suffered heavy losses in order to kill the demonic beasts. But remember, don't provoke me in the future and don't pester Shuiyu again. Else, I can't guarantee that your White Clan will also become demonic beasts in my eyes one day." Bai Yuheng shuddered inwardly as he recalled the scene of Tan Xiao slaughtering everyone like a god of war yesterday. Despite his reluctance, he still nodded with a gloomy face and then turned to leave. Duanmu Lin glanced at Bai Yuheng's back and then gratefully looked at Tan Xiu. He forced a smile and said, "The White Clan has contributed a lot to our country after all." "Thanks a lot, Tan Xiu." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "This Bai Yuheng may have a bad character, but the White Clan is still very brave. Don't worry about it. I won't pay attention to him as long as he doesn't provoke me before the hidden danger of the demonic beasts is completely eliminated." Duanmu Lin sighed and said, "The White Clan is a great clan. They live almost isolated from the rest of the world and are very simple and honest. It's a pity that this young master of the White Clan, Bai Yuheng, has been spoiled since childhood and has developed a bad habit of being arrogant and conceited. This time, the Bai Clan's patriarch unexpectedly sent him to lead the team again. It's a disaster, not a blessing." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "I don't care about this matter as long as he doesn't provoke me. Anyhow, Senior Duanmu, you've sent people to collect the materials for the array. How many of them have you prepared? I'd like to quickly arrange some arrays if possible." "Not a lot. After all, the time is too short," said Duanmu Lin hesitantly. "Some of the materials we've collected are already on the way here. I'm afraid it will take a few more days for all of them to be delivered." "Just use as many as you have," Tan Xiu said. "Actually, human cultivators wouldn't have suffered such a big loss if we had arranged the array properly yesterday. Moreover, after yesterday's battle, I have a faint premonition in my heart." "What did you find?" asked Duanmu Lin hurriedly. Chapter 1043. Tan Xiu frowned and said, "I think those demonic beasts have a purpose in attacking our blockade line after yesterday's battle. I think their purpose is to kill me." Duanmu Lin stared blankly and incredulously said, "You said they want to kill you? That's why they launched yesterday's attack?" "That's right." Tan Xiu nodded. "That's the possibility. I clearly observed the battle on the ground. The strongest demonic beast is only at the golden core stage. However, there were only 400 flying-type magical beasts in the sky, but there were 10 gold core stage magical beasts among them. While I was fighting with the 10 gold core stage magical beasts, there was unexpectedly a hidden flying-type magical beast that suddenly launched a sneak attack on me. This hidden bird-type demonic beast is comparable to a nascent soul stage cultivator." "What?" Duanmu Lin exclaimed. "A demonic beast comparable to a nascent soul stage expert appeared? Damn, that super demonic beast hasn't appeared yet, has it? Don't tell me that super demonic beast is even stronger than a nascent soul stage expert?" "That's right." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "That super demonic beast appeared at the blockade line when I broke through to the next realm. Judging from its aura, it's not a demonic beast comparable to a nascent soul stage cultivator. If my guess is correct, it's probably at the spirit formation stage." Spirit formation stage? Disbelief was written all over Duanmu Lin's face. His heart fell to the bottom after hearing Tan Xiu's speculation. It must be noted that the strongest human cultivator should be Tan Xiu, right? But his strength was only comparable to an early-stage nascent soul stage cultivator. If that super demonic beast's strength was comparable to a spirit formation stage cultivator, then how could human cultivators block its attack? On top of that, there were tens of thousands of demonic beasts. Even if there were a few more of these sealing lines, the demonic beasts would easily break through them and all the cultivators would be slaughtered. Once that happened, it would be the doomsday of mankind. Duanmu Lin and a large number of experts from the Special Abilities Bureau, as well as the Chinese experts, speculated that it would be very difficult to kill even a nascent soul expert with firearms, not even missiles. As for soul formation stage, Duanmu Lin was utterly disheartened by the result of his conjecture. Unless a nuclear bomb was used, it would be impossible to kill a soul formation stage demonic beast. However, even if a nuclear bomb was used, the probability of killing a soul formation stage demonic beast would not exceed 80%. In other words, there was still a 20% chance that it would be impossible. Could it be that the heavens want me dead? Duanmu Lin's lips trembled, and he seemed to have aged more than 10 years. After sensing the change in Duanmu Lin's aura, Tan Xiu immediately said, "Senior Duanmu, Although I speculate that this super demonic beast can fight against a spirit formation stage powerhouse, it's not like we have no hope at all. I have a trump card that can ensure the safety of the human race, but if I use it, it will bring me great losses. Duanmu Lin's expression drastically changed. He didn't even care about Tan Xiu's losses and hurriedly asked, "What trump card do you have?" "Tan Xiu, tell me, what other trump card do you have?" Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, "I can't use that trump card unless it's a last resort. As for a soul formation stage demonic beast, it's not completely impossible to kill it." Duanmu Lin hurriedly asked, "If you don't use your trump card, will you?" "Tan Xiu, tell me quickly. What is it?" "We need to wait for someone. If she can arrive in time, I may not need to use my trump card," said Tan Xiu with a smile. "Senior Duanmu, you don't need to ask about the specifics. What we need to do now is to set up a defense and figure out when the demonic beast will attack again." Destroyed. Duanmu Lin suppressed his confusion and left. But in any case, Tan Xiu had given him a reassuring pill. As for the outcome, he believed that Tan Xiu wouldn't take his life as a joke. The following week, the demonic beasts suddenly became very quiet and no demonic beasts appeared outside the blockade line. Even the monitors in the depths of the Himalayas could only occasionally see a few demonic beasts appearing and leaving quickly. However, this situation made everyone realize that this should be the so-called calm before the storm. Following this, once the magical beasts attacked again, it would probably be an all-encompassing attack. Tan Xiu didn't stay idle this week. On one hand, he seized the time to cultivate and improve his strength, while on the other hand he also taught some secret arts to the Tang sect's disciples so that they could master them quickly. At the same time, he also spent 2 days to quietly set up a feng shui grand array 6 to 7 kilometers inside the blockade line. Furthermore, the array he set up stretched for tens of kilometers. Whether the demonic beasts attacked from the east, the west, or the center line, they would be trapped by the array in front of the blockade line. "Remember, you're in charge of the array," said Tan Xiu with a serious expression. "You're in charge of the array, so you must unleash the full power of the array. Unless it's a last resort and your life is hanging by a thread, you must never leave the array's eye. If you want to live longer, you must use the array to kill the demonic beasts. The more demonic beasts you kill, the greater your chance of survival will be. I'll be in charge of controlling a more powerful array. Once the array you control is broken, I'll immediately take over. I hope you won't let me down, and don't let all the cultivators on the blockade line down." Having said that, Tang Xiu's words finally stopped. 8 of them were comparable to golden core stage cultivators, while 6 were comparable to late-stage foundation establishment stage cultivators. The 14 of them stood straight with their hands clasped behind their backs. They looked firm and resolute as they loudly said, "We won't let Sect Master Tang down, nor will we let anyone down." Tan Xiu slowly nodded and said with satisfaction, "Your names may be recorded in the annals of history and be immortalized in the future. Or maybe you'll only be remembered by the people in the cultivation world, and no one will know about you after we leave. But you'll become heroes, and that's a fact that no one can change. I, Tan Xiu, am looking forward to fighting side by side with all of you." "Fight side by side," shouted the 14 of them. They were all cultivators, some were Taoist, some were Buddhist, and some were martial artists. In short, they were deeply influenced by Tan Xiu after spending a few days with Tan Xiu. Not only did they have a deep admiration for Tan Xiu, but they also developed a warrior's attitude and momentum. Time fleeted by. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Inside the military tent, Tan Xiu sat cross-legged and silently communicated with the stars in the universe, continuously absorbing the power of the stars in the universe and transforming it for his own use. At the same time, Tan Xiu also absorbed all the demonic power in the spirit gathering array he arranged with 108 demon cores, and the array automatically dissipated. The heavenly art of cosmic genesis is indeed worthy to be the top cultivation art created by the demon god. My cultivation speed is really incredible. How long has it been? My strength has actually increased by another fold. I'm confident that I can successfully kill a late-stage nascent soul expert now. But If I encounter a powerful enemy at the spirit formation stage, I can barely put up a fight, but it's hard to say whether I'll win or lose in the end. Tan Xiao floated up. Just as he walked out of the tent, he saw Shui Sha and He Xiong standing straight and waiting outside. Many of the Tang sect's disciples in the surroundings cast envious looks at him. You guys. Just as Tan Xiao spoke, he immediately sensed the aura released by the two men. A satisfied smile immediately appeared on his handsome face as he nodded and said, "Very good. You guys are really good. I didn't expect you to be the second and third disciples to break through to the Golden Core stage. I hereby announce that you've been promoted to Guardian Elders of the Tang sect. You can find Mo later and he'll give you the rewards." Shui Sha and He Xiong exchanged glances. Although they had long expected that they would be promoted to Guardian Elders of the Tang sect and that they would receive generous rewards, they were still very excited after hearing the confirmation from Sect Master Tan Xiao. Sect Master. Mo floated up and respectfully came before Tan Xiao. "Give them the rewards to celebrate their breakthrough to the Golden Core stage," said Tan Xiao. "Further, they'll be the elders of the Tang sect in the future. You're the first 4 elders to break through, so you can discuss it with them later." Understood. Mo smiled and nodded to Shui Sha and He Xiong. Then he looked at Tan Xiao again and said, "Sect Master, I just got the news that Qi Nan and Kawako have also broken through to the Golden Core stage." Tan Xiao stared blankly for a moment. He wasn't surprised that Qi Nan had broken through to the Golden Core stage, but Kawako had also broken through to the Golden Core stage? How could her cultivation speed be so fast? Originally, Tan Xiao accepted Kawako as his subordinate only to let her carry out Japan's plan and strive to control some forces in the country in the future, as well as plunder some resources from the country. But now, it seemed that he couldn't treat her as an outsider anymore. With her cultivation speed, she would become his right-hand man as long as she worked harder in the future. Contact Qi Nan, Kawako, Tang Guang, and Tang and tell the 4 of them to come here immediately. I'm afraid we'll be at the final moment of the battle. We'll have a better chance of winning if they come here, and the losses of the other sect's disciples will be reduced." "What about Jinshi?" asked Mo hurriedly. "Do you want him to come back?" "Has Jinshi broken through to the Golden Core stage yet?" asked Tan Xiao. "No news yet." Mo shook his head. Tan Xiao sighed inwardly. He originally thought that Jinshi would be one of the first 6 to break through to the Golden Core stage since he had been with him for such a long time. He would occasionally give him some special attention and even rewarded him with a lot of cultivation resources. But he didn't expect that Jinshi would ultimately let him down. "Don't notify him yet. He has a mission now." Mo nodded without a word and said, "I'll contact him right away." Chapter 1044. Deep in the Himalayas, inside a towering snow-capped mountain, a huge space had been excavated. It had even been modified by a secret technique, causing a karst cave to appear in the underground space. Rivers of lava flowed through the karst cave, causing the temperature here to be extremely high. It was like the inside of a huge furnace. Goo, a gigantic magical beast suddenly rose from the lava river that was emitting high temperature. This magical beast's entire body was scarlet red, like a toad that had been magnified thousands of times. However, there were 4 tentacles that were dozens of meters long on its cheeks. They constantly whipped the lava river, causing the liquid lava to splatter. There are many Mogu. The gigantic magical beast's eyes were very large, like giant millstones. They were filled with a cruel and murderous expression. As its voice rang out, the super magical beast that was as tall as a 2-story building instantly shot over from outside. In the blink of an eye, it had already appeared in front of the toad magical beast. "Great Blood Beast King, you have finally woken up from your slumber. According to your will, our magical beast army's elites probed the humans of this world time and time again, and discovered that there were powerful people among them. However, I have the confidence to destroy those humans and occupy this planet for you." The toad-shaped blood beast monarch coughed out a mouthful of magma and shook his head. "The heavenly Tao laws in this world are very powerful. Our strength is suppressed now, so we can only use 1,000th of our power. Therefore, he had to find out if there were immortals or demon kings in this world. If there is, we will immediately leave this place and find another place to stay. If not, then let's go all out and kill. The super magical beast Ancient Devil Duo 2 nodded heavily. Without any hesitation, it whistled and left this space. In just half a day, nearly 100,000 magical beasts had gathered in the depths of the Himalayas. The magical beasts all over the mountains and plains let out deafening roars, cheering for their king to wake up from his slumber. Ugly Town. Tan Xiu was cultivating cross-legged in the military tent when he suddenly heard the roars of countless magical beasts. His expression immediately changed. In that instant, he could determine that the number of roaring magical beasts was definitely not as simple as 10 or 20,000. There were definitely more than 50,000, or even more. Xiu, Xiu, Xiu. Numerous lightning-fast figures quickly appeared at the blockade line. All the human cultivators looked toward the Himalayas in the north. Even though they could not see any trace of the magical beasts, they could still hear the roars that caused the ground to tremble. Tan Xiu. Duanmu Lin appeared by Tan Xiu's side. His eyes were filled with deep worry, and he wanted to say something but hesitated. Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, "Know the enemy and know yourself, and you will be victorious in every battle." Looks like this saying is true. We are not clear about the number of magical beasts and their overall strength. I'm afraid it won't be easy to win the next battle. Senior Duanmu, have all the cultivation forces that you invited arrived? Duanmu Lin shook his head and said, "There are 2 cultivation forces that haven't arrived yet, but the rest have." According to the statistics of our Special Abilities Bureau, the number of cultivators who have arrived here has already exceeded 2,000. It's just that we seem to have a lot of people, but the number of demonic beasts is even higher. Moreover, the weakest of those demonic beasts is comparable to Foundation establishment experts, whereas less than half of the cultivators here have reached the Foundation establishment stage. Tan Xiu secretly sighed inwardly. What Duanmu Lin said was the truth. There were only a few people who practiced martial arts in this peaceful and prosperous era. Those who wanted to achieve something and reach the Foundation establishment stage were even fewer. "We can only rely on the arrays for now," said Tan Xiu helplessly. "You said you have a trump card, Tan Xiu. What exactly is it?" asked Duanmu Lin. "Tell me now so that I can feel at ease." Tan Xiu glanced at the direction of Nine Dragons Island and lightly said, "My trump card may be coming soon." Half an hour later, just as Tan Xiu was sitting cross-legged in cultivation, 4 particularly powerful auras came from the direction of Ugly Town. In just a few breaths, 3 men and 1 woman appeared at the blockade line. Interesting. I didn't expect that so many little kids would come here. A young man in a white robe who looked like a scholar spoke casually, but his voice was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. An old man with a kind face and a walking stick said with a smile, "The people of Huaxia are good in this aspect. Every time they encounter a crisis, they always come forward to help the country resolve it. When was the last time we went out of the mountain? More than 60 years ago? Or more than 70 years ago? More than 70 years ago, before the War of Resistance." A tall and sturdy middle-aged man with a red face and an imposing aura exuding from his entire body said with a clear voice while holding a magic staff in his hand. A middle-aged Taoist nun in a Taoist robe with her hair combed into a bun smiled and lightly said, "Let's not talk about the past anymore. Benefactors, this is your chance if you've been holding back for too long. It's a pity that Tao Master Poison's heart isn't in the right place and he hasn't taken that step, else the 5 of us would have gathered together." Tao Master Poison? Tan Xiu, who was sitting cross-legged tens of meters away from the 4 people, had a slightly moved expression. Taoist Zixuan floated out of the crowd and quickly appeared in front of the middle-aged Taoist nun. She respectfully saluted and said, "Zixuan pays respect to ancestor. Why did you come out of seclusion?" "I received a notice from these 3 old geezers that a lot of demonic beasts have appeared in the Himalayas, so I came out to have a look," said the middle-aged Taoist nun with a smile. "To be honest, I've never seen demonic beasts before. I've only read about them in historical records. Little Zixuan, tell me about those demonic beasts. Are they really that powerful?" Ancestor, I don't know as much as others when it comes to demonic beasts, said Taoist Zishuan. How about I call Taoist Tang over? He may be able to answer a lot of your questions. The middle-aged Taoist nun nodded and said, Call him over. Tan Xiu's figure flickered lightning fast and instantly appeared in front of them. He looked at the four people with a serious expression and smilingly said, Tang Xiu greets the four seniors. I was worried that we wouldn't be able to handle the demonic beasts in the mountain range since there are too many of them. But now that four nascent soul stage seniors are here, we can finally relax a lot. You're Tan Xiu? Asked the middle-aged Taoist nun with a surprised expression. That's right, answered Tan Xiu with a smile. The middle-aged Taoist nun shifted to Taoist Zishuan and asked, I heard about your deal. How was it? What was the result? Ancestor, the cultivation resources our sect brought weren't that much, said Taoist Zishuan hurriedly. But Taoist Tang still fulfilled his promise and gave us what he promised. The middle-aged Taoist nun's expression slightly changed. She shot a deep look at Tan Xiu and praised, You're a very good junior. My whole unitary sect owes you a favor. Don't worry, I'll send someone to collect some more cultivation resources and send them to you later. I've never been a person who likes to fuss about things. Tan Xiu lightly smiled and said, Since Senior wants to send me some cultivation resources, then I'll also send some gifts to your whole unitary sect. The burly middle-aged man with a flushed face couldn't help but roll his eyes and snorted. Don't mention such trivial matters between you two. Tan Xiu, right? Tell us about the situation of the demonic beasts. Can you let this Sha Tong go on a killing spree? According to my judgment, there are at least tens of thousands of demonic beasts in the depths of the mountain range. Tan Xiu nodded and said, The weakest among them is at the early stage of foundation establishment, but I'm not sure about the strongest ones. However, I killed a lot of demonic beasts, so they once launched an attack on me. 10 golden core bird-type demonic beasts acted as a cover, and one that was as strong as a nascent soul stage demonic beast ambushed me. Fortunately, my reaction was fast and my luck was good enough to save my life. 10 golden core demonic beasts? And one that was as strong as a nascent soul stage demonic beast? The four of them all wore a solemn expression after hearing it. Although they were all nascent soul stage powerhouses, they didn't know what kind of magical abilities these demonic beasts had. If they were very strong, they would have to spend some effort to kill them. If my guess is correct, there are demonic beasts in this mountain range whose strength is comparable to a soul formation stage expert, said Tan Xiu. However, it didn't attack us, so I can't judge its specific strength. What? The four of them were shocked by Tan Xiu's words. A demonic beast that could fight a soul formation stage expert? If there really was such a powerful demonic beast, wouldn't the four of them have a 50-50 chance of winning even if they joined forces? The old man asked with a solemn expression, You think that demonic beast can fight a soul formation stage expert? I want to know what stage you are at now. How do you judge the strength of a nascent soul stage expert? How do you judge the strength of a soul formation stage expert? Because my strength is not weaker than you, seniors, said Tan Xiu calmly. Preposterous and arrogant. The burly man rolled his eyes and snappily said, You're so young. If I'm not mistaken, you're only in your early 20s at most, right? You said your strength is not weaker than ours? That's simply a joke. I don't know if it's a joke or not, said Tan Xiu lightly. But I'm very clear about the person you mentioned before, and I'm very clear about his strength. The burly man didn't want to talk to Tan Xiu anymore, but after hearing his words, he casually asked, The person we mentioned? Who is it? Dao Master Poison, replied Tan Xiu lightly. The burly man's expression instantly turned cold. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes as he asked in a deep voice, Do you know Dao Master Poison? That's right. Not only do I know him, but I also fought him. Tan Xiu nodded. Fuck off. The burly man felt that Tan Xiu's words were getting more and more outrageous, so he directly waved his hand to tell him to scram. Chapter 1045. In the burly man's view, even if Dao Master Poison was scheming and couldn't break through to the nascent soul stage, he was still a golden core stage expert. Yet this brat bragged without batting an eyelid, which was really disgusting. Guan Lu! The middle-aged Taoist nun furrowed her brows and shouted with dissatisfaction. The burly man sneered and said, "Everyone, let's not listen to this brat's nonsense. Let's go straight into the depths of the mountain range. Even if the other party has a demonic beast that can fight against a spirit formation stage expert, we can still kill it with the strength of the four of us." The white-robed scholarly youth nodded in agreement and said, "I think Guan Lu is right. Any schemes and tricks are just fleeting clouds in the face of absolute strength. Let's not waste our time here since we're here to kill demonic beasts. We'll just let them deal with the remaining small demonic beasts after we get rid of those powerful ones." "I agree." The kind-looking old man chuckled and said. Only the middle-aged Taoist nun slightly furrowed her brows and looked hesitant. She knew more about Tan Xiu, so she was willing to believe Tan Xiu's words. However, her three old friends were going to enter the mountain range to hunt the most powerful demonic beasts, so she had no choice but to agree. She felt that even if the four of them joined forces, they wouldn't be able to kill the most powerful demonic beasts in the mountain range. But if they couldn't beat it, they should have no problem escaping. "Ancestor," Taoist Zixuan hurriedly called out. The middle-aged Taoist nun waved her hand and smilingly said, "You don't need to persuade me, little Zixuan. Since they want to enter the mountain range to hunt the most powerful demonic beasts, I naturally can't just ignore them. If we follow them, we might be able to resolve the crisis in front of us faster." Taoist Zixuan immediately said helplessly, "Ancestor, I won't persuade you anymore since you've been admiring them for a long time. But I have something for you. Please keep it." After saying that, she handed the storage bracelet to the middle-aged Taoist nun. Inside the storage bracelet was not only the cultivation manual Tan Xiu gave her, but also the immortal sword. The middle-aged Taoist nun took the storage bracelet and probed it with her consciousness. She immediately discovered the divine sword. Her heart trembled as she sensed the terrifying aura coming from the celestial sword. Joy surged through her like a tide, making her even more confident about entering the mountain range to hunt demonic beasts. "Let's go." The red-faced orchestra soared into the sky and flew toward the depths of the mountain range. In just a few seconds, the four nascent soul stage powerhouses who had just arrived went straight into the depths of the Himalayas. Tan Xiu quickly nodded at Duanmu Lin, gave Hao Lei and the others a few instructions, and quietly followed them. Right now, every human expert was a comrade, and the four original infant stage experts were the strongest existences of the human race. If they died in the Himalayas because of their arrogance, Tan Xiu was not willing to accept this fact. Deep in the Himalayas, demonic beasts covered the snow-white ground, and the whistling cold wind added a bit of terrifying aura to the nearly 100,000 demonic beasts. As two super-demonic beasts with bodies as high as 2 stories slowly walked out of a wide cave, nearly 100,000 demonic beasts roared again. "Shut up!" A shadow flashed, and Mo Duo Meng appeared in front of the two tall demonic beasts. Its blood-red eyes swept down, and it shouted violently. In an instant, the scene quieted down, and all the demonic beasts looked at Mo Duo Meng with a bit of fear, waiting for its order. Mo Duo Meng raised its head and roared a few times, and then shouted in the language of demonic beasts, "The great blood beast king has awakened, and we are about to occupy this planet. After tens of thousands of years of wandering, we are trapped on this damned little planet, trapped in this damned iceberg. I am not willing, and the great blood beast king is not willing. So kill the humans on this planet, occupy this planet, and let us use this planet as a springboard to return to the demon realm, kill our enemies, and get our territory." Kill. Nearly 100,000 demonic beasts roared and roared. Under the leadership of the two 10-meter-tall demonic beasts behind Mo Duo Meng, they roared and rushed towards the south. In midair, the four nascent soul stage powerhouses stopped. They stood in the air, dumbfounded as they looked at the overwhelming flying demonic beasts in front of them. They looked at the demonic beasts on the ground, which were more imposing than tens of thousands of galloping horses. Even though they thought of themselves as powerful, they still couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Humans die. Two 10-meter-tall demonic beasts, in midair above the flying island, did not hesitate to launch a fierce attack against the four nascent soul stage powerhouses. Emogu Duomeng was not in a hurry to make a move. He quietly watched the four humans, but his heart was surging with killing intent. The fact that humans dared to enter the depths of the Himalayas made him even angrier. Boom, 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 kill. The two 10-meter-tall demonic beasts, after fighting with the four nascent soul stage powerhouses, fell into a disadvantageous position in just a few seconds. Seeing this, Emogu Duomeng no longer hesitated. He roared and rushed towards the battle in midair. His speed was faster than the two demonic beasts of similar size. As a black vortex appeared in the sky, a black chain instantly shot out from the black vortex. Boom, boom. The white-robed youth was caught off guard and was bombarded in the chest by a black chain. As blood spurted out, his body flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. Although the other three people narrowly avoided the chains and struggled to resist the black suction, they had no way to rescue the white-robed youth. Too weak to stand up to the wind. Emogu Duomeng laughed wildly and joined forces with the other two demonic beasts. Suddenly, the four nascent soul stage powerhouses were in danger. Immortal slaying chains, kill for me. A series of black chains, coupled with the black vortex, was Emogu Duomeng's magical power. On top of that, his strength was comparable to that of a soul formation stage cultivator, so he didn't give the white-robed youth any chance to escape. Dozens of black chains struck his body, and immediately afterward, a black chain wrapped around the white-robed youth's body, pulling him into a black vortex. Suddenly, a black figure shot out from not far away and a divine sword burst out with 100-meter-long sword light. It fiercely slashed at the black chains that were flying everywhere. Also, a powerful airflow formed a tornado that bombarded the black vortex that was sucking the white-robed youth in. Boom! One by one, the black chains broke. The black vortex was disturbed by the tornado and quickly dissipated without a trace. The white-robed youth's face was pale, but he fled in a sorry state. However, another black chain bombarded his back. Break for me! Tan Xiu's aura expanded and the divine sword burst out a dazzling light. After using the airflow to wrap around the white-robed youth's body, Tan Xiu suddenly pulled and turned around to run. What are you waiting for? At this moment, the middle-aged nun, the kind-looking elder, and the red-faced Guan Yu were shocked by the sudden crisis. Only then did they realize that they were no match for the three demonic beasts. They all turned around and chased after Tan Xiu's figure, quickly running out of the mountain range. Death Hammer. Grim Reaper Scythe. The other two late-stage nascent soul demonic beasts also used their magical powers. Even though the middle-aged nun, the elder, and the red-faced Guan Yu ran very fast, the giant hammers and black machetes still injured them. So, the five of them quickly ran to the blockade. Tan Xiu threw the almost unconscious white-robed youth to Mo Ao and shouted, "Get ready for battle. There are many demonic beasts, at least 80 to 90,000. Remember my instructions and immediately activate the array." Immediately, 14 figures quickly rushed out and activated the array, standing in the eye of the array. Guan Yu appeared next to the white-robed youth in a flash. His face was extremely ugly and there was even a hint of shame in his eyes. At this moment, he had to admit that he was too arrogant and suggested to attack the depths of the mountain range. The demonic beast that was comparable to a soul formation stage cultivator was simply too powerful. There were also two demonic beasts that were comparable to nascent soul stage cultivators. Just the combination of these three demonic beasts was not something that four nascent soul stage cultivators could compare to. Now is not the time to blame yourself. Take out your weapon and get ready to fight the demonic beasts. Today, it's a battle to the death. Either we will be exterminated, or the demonic beasts will be exterminated by us. Tang Xiu appeared beside Guan Yu and shouted in a heavy tone. Guan Yu looked up and saw Tan Xiu's solemn expression. His heart was filled with grief and indignation. He looked down on Tan Xiu before and didn't even bother to pay attention to Tan Xiu. He thought that a young guy dared to boast in front of them. But after the crisis just now, He realized that Tan Xiu was really not weak. Whether it was his speed or his explosive killing moves, they were all superior to him. I'm sorry about what happened before, Daoist Tang. Inwardly, Guan Yu was very grateful to Tang Xiu. If it wasn't for Tang Xiu following them and lending a helping hand at the critical moment, the white-clothed youth's companions would have died in the hands of those demonic beasts. You don't need to apologize to me. Tan Xiu shook his head. Kill more demonic beasts if you feel guilty. Don't hide it anymore. I have a bad hunch that there will be more dangerous things coming up. Guan Yu took a deep breath and soared into the air. Just as he was about to rush into the invisible array, Tan Xiu immediately stopped him. Don't rush to attack yet. I'll arrange an array here. Wait for us to use the array to kill as many demonic beasts as possible before you fight them, shouted Tan Xiu in a deep voice. An array? Using an array to kill demonic beasts? Guan Yu didn't know anything about arrays, but he knew the power of an array. The way he looked at Tan Xiu was completely different from before. Kill. The overwhelming number of demonic beasts quickly rushed into the array in front of the blockade line. In an instant, 14 cultivators, who were not very strong but had learned how to control the array from Tan Xiu, began to control the array to kill the demonic beasts that broke in. Chapter 1046. The feng shui array chain was like a meat grinder, killing the demonic beasts that kept rushing into it. Tan Xiu was like a ghost, wandering in and out of the array, silently reaping the lives of the demonic beasts. For the demonic beasts and other cultivators, the array was a land of death. But for Tan Xiu, it was like his own backyard. Roar, hiss, countless demonic beasts roared and attacked the array frantically, causing the 14 arrays to shake. After half an hour of killing, Tan Xiu rushed out of one of the arrays in a disheveled state. His clothes were soaked in blood, as if he had just been fished out of a pool of blood. Tan Xiu! Silhouettes shot over from the distance like lightning. All of them had worried looks on their faces, as well as a deep sense of reverence. Tan Xiu wiped the blood off his face and asked hurriedly, "Where are those people, Senior Duanmu?" Duanmu Lin took a deep breath, grabbed the communication device in his hand, pressed the green button, and shouted, "Kill camp warriors, enter the array." Immediately, one after another, silhouettes shot over from afar and rushed into the feng shui formation in the blink of an eye. A total of 140 cultivators had been sent to Tan Xiu by Duanmu Lin through various means a week ago to learn how to set up arrays from Tan Xiu. They didn't have a thorough understanding of the array, but they could memorize the routes and directions inside the array and kill the demonic beasts after they entered the array. The weakest among them was at the late stage of foundation establishment, while the strongest were at the golden core stage. They were in groups of 10. After entering the array, they took advantage of the array's attack to slaughter the demonic beasts inside like pouring oil on a fire. They could advance or retreat, attack or defend. The massacre of 140 people was definitely a carefree and unrestrained feeling. However, the number of demonic beasts that rushed into the array was too many. The array was filled with demonic beasts. "We can't hold it anymore. Retreat." One of the cultivators controlling the formation suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and roared. In less than 10 seconds, the 6 cultivators who were still alive in the feng shui formation rushed out, their bodies riddled with scars. Before they could catch their breath, the feng shui formation was broken. Immediately after, the other feng shui formations were also broken one after another. One by one, the cultivators escaped with injuries and rushed through the blockade line with some despair. Their injuries were very serious, and they needed to hurry up and heal. Otherwise, if they continued to participate in the battle, they would probably die. At this moment, Tan Xiu had already changed his clothes. He was frantically absorbing the mana within the monster core to replenish what he had just consumed. Seeing that the 14 formations had been broken, a cold light burst out of his eyes. As his figure soared into the sky, his divine sword instantly swept out, killing a group of bird-type demonic beasts. Demons and immortals slaughtering array. The deafening sound waves instantly spread to the horizon. Within the blockade line of dozens of kilometers, a thick blood mist permeated. With the blood of demonic beasts and humans as a guide, it formed a boundless sea of blood, killing all the demonic beasts that deserved to be killed. The demons and immortals slaying formation covered a very wide area. At this moment, at least tens of thousands of demonic beasts were enveloped in it. Rumble. The demonic beasts in the formation wailed in unison as if a thunderstorm had come from beyond the ninth heaven. That sound seemed to be able to destroy souls and control minds. It was like a demonic sound with extremely strong offensive power. At the same time, bolts of lightning fell like a storm. Each lightning bolt was as thick as an adult's arm. Even a demonic beast at the Golden Core stage would be seriously injured if it was struck by the lightning. As for a demonic beast at the Foundation Establishment stage, it would only be a dead end if it was struck. Ding, ding, dong. Suddenly, a pleasant sound came from outside the demons and immortals slaying formation. Almost in an instant, the tens of thousands of demonic beasts in the formation suddenly felt that the world in front of them had changed. They seemed to see the place where they were born, their hometown, as if they could smell the soil of the demon realm and hear the unique howling of the demon realm. Puff, 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 lightning fell like rain. One by one, the demonic beasts died tragically in the lightning, but they fell slowly with a smile on their faces. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. In just half a minute, thousands of demonic beasts died in the lightning attack. Roar! A two-story nascent soul stage demonic beast rushed out of the demons and immortals slaying formation and sensed that something was wrong. With an angry roar, countless black scimitars appeared out of thin air and slashed at the descending lightning bolts. For a moment, the lightning bolts were blocked, and the killing speed of the demonic beasts slowed down. Ding, ding, ding. The sound of the zither that came from outside the demons and immortals slaying formation suddenly changed its tone. It sounded like a storm or the collision of iron horses and gold spears. All of a sudden, the smiles on the faces of all the demonic beasts at the Foundation Establishment stage in the demons and immortals slaying formation disappeared, and they all revealed painful expressions. Tan Xiao, who was controlling the demons and immortals slaying formation to kill the demonic beasts, frowned slightly. He knew who was coming the moment the zither sounded. Han Qingwu. And also Xue Qingqing. Tan Xiao's feelings for her were very complicated. Even when he found out that Han Qingwu was Xue Qingqing, even though his heart was filled with pain and hatred, he didn't have the heart to kill her. From that moment on, Tan Xiao thought that breaking up with her was the best choice. However, he never thought that at this moment he would fight side by side with her and kill the demonic beasts together. Through Han Qingwu? No. Through Xue Qingqing's zither, he could even sense that Xue Qingqing's strength had recovered to the soul formation stage. At the blockade, thousands of cultivators all focused their attention on Han Qingwu, who was floating over and sitting cross-legged on a blue stone. Seeing her sitting cross-legged and playing the zither on the spot, they were inexplicably shocked. The sound of the zither. It didn't affect them much because Han Qingwu deliberately controlled it. Even though the effect was very small, it still made their faces extremely solemn. Some of the weaker cultivators even staggered back 100 meters before wiping the cold sweat off their foreheads with lingering fear. Just now, when they heard the zither, they were almost pulled into the artistic conception of the zither. They even had a feeling that if they were pulled into the artistic conception of the zither, they would very likely be seriously injured or even in danger of dying. Who is she? The middle-aged Taoist nun, who was at the nascent soul stage, had a look of disbelief on her face. Even the kind-looking old man and the burly man were shocked. They stared at Han Qingwu without blinking. The soul formation stage. The three of them were nascent soul stage cultivators, so they could naturally feel the energy fluctuations coming from Han Qingwu's body. What shocked them was that this young woman who used the zither to attack the demonic beasts was actually a soul formation stage cultivator. She doesn't look like someone who has cultivated for 100 years or even a few hundred years. If I'm not wrong, her real age should be in her 20s. This is too unbelievable and too shocking. She only used 20 years to break through to the soul formation stage? That's right. She is indeed only in her 20s. I can still distinguish this. Now, what I want to know the most is, What kind of cultivation method did she cultivate? How could she break through to the soul formation stage in such a short time? Is she stronger than us old guys who have cultivated for hundreds of years? If it wasn't for the threat of the demonic beasts, if it wasn't for the fact that she is stronger than us, I really want to snatch the cultivation method from her. This girl is not simple. It's not an exaggeration to say that she is terrifying. After the three of them recovered from their shock, their expressions became extremely complicated. They looked at Han Qingwu, who was playing the zither, and whispered to each other. Not far away, Duanmu Lin looked at Han Qingwu with a dumbfounded expression. He didn't notice Han Qingwu's arrival at all. He didn't even know how she came here. How did she appear here? Aquababe shook her head and said, I don't know. It's like she just appeared out of thin air. Duanmu Lin took a deep look at Han Qingwu before shifting his gaze back to the demons and immortals slaughtering array in front of him. Although he couldn't see the situation inside, he was sure that Tan Xiu must be going all out to kill the demonic beasts at this moment. He knew Han Qingwu. When he sent someone to investigate Tan Xiu, Han Qingwu's information was presented to him. Therefore, when he recalled how terrifying and unfathomable Tan Xiu was, he secretly deduced that this girl named Han Qingwu should have followed Tan Xiu to learn cultivation and eventually possessed such formidable strength. Inside the demons and immortals slaughtering array, Tan Xiu's killing speed was getting faster and faster. Because Han Qingwu used the zither sound to attack, the weak demonic beasts lost their ability to resist, so it was simply a one-sided massacre. As for the nascent soul stage demonic beast, it couldn't exert its strength at all due to the zither sound. Damned humans and damned Xian Lu. Devil Gu Duodong appeared in the demons and immortals slaughtering array with another demonic beast that was comparable to a nascent soul stage powerhouse. As it cast its magical powers, it finally blocked all the lightning in the sky. I'm very angry. My king is also very angry. Damned humans, you killed my people in the demon realm. You must die and your soul must scatter. Devil Gu Duodong roared and joined forces with the other two nascent soul stage demonic beasts. The losses caused the demons and immortals slaughtering array to constantly shake, as if it would break at any time. Tan Xiu stood at the eye of the array with a cold light flashing in his eyes. As the demons and immortals slaughtering array continued to shake, a ruthless look finally appeared on his face. He instantly stabbed the divine sword into his chest and forced out 10 drops of blood from his heart. Blood-burning secret technique. Dazzling hand gestures and mysterious hand seals were continuously cast out. The 10 drops of heart blood turned into thousands of strands of blood and spread out in all directions. In just a few breaths, they had completely disappeared without a trace. My heart is the sky, and the world is the furnace. I sacrifice my blood and turn it into demonic fire. Before his voice completely dissipated, Tan Xiu's figure had already appeared outside the demons and immortals slaughtering array. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and his body crashed to the ground. Chapter 1047. Thousands of pairs of eyes were focused on Tan Xiu at this moment. As Tan Xiu fell, a number of figures rushed over lightning fast. Sovereign! With a worried face, Mo dashed to Tan Xiu's side. He took out a few holy healing pills without hesitation and quickly stuffed them into Tan Xiu's mouth. Tan Xiu's face was as pale as paper and his body was drenched in sweat. Mo hugged him in his arms. He squeezed out a smile with difficulty and said with a hoarse voice, "Help me sit up." Mo carefully propped Tan Xiu up and made him sit cross-legged on the ground. Then, he asked with concern, "Are you really okay, Sovereign?" Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "I've lost nearly half of my blood, so I'm naturally very weak. There's no danger to my life. Don't worry." It was the blood ignition secret art. Tan Xiu once created a terrifying secret art in the immortal world. This secret art, combined with a feng shui array, could kill enemies 10 times stronger than him. It could also turn the entire array into a solid furnace that could melt all the lives inside. At this moment, dozens of human experts rushed to Tan Xiu's side, including the 3 nascent soul stage powerhouses, Duanmu Lin and Han Qingwu, who stopped playing the zither and rushed over, all heard Tan Xiu's words. Everyone's expression was extremely shocked. They never dreamed that Tan Xiu would lose nearly half of his blood when he used the array to kill demonic beasts. For humans, blood was the most important part of their body as long as they hadn't ascended to become immortals. If a person lost too much blood, only death awaited them. Duanmu Lin's body trembled a bit. He squatted down next to Tan Xiu and respectfully said, "Tan Xiu, I don't know what you did, but I believe you did it for our country and for mankind. Thank you. Take a good rest and leave the killing of demonic beasts to us. We won't let you be killed as long as we're alive." Tang Xiu let out a faint smile and didn't speak. However, when his eyes swept around, his gaze paused on Han Qingwu's face, which was filled with worry, for a second. "Everyone, I'll leave the rest to you for now. I need to heal, so please do what you need to do." Having said that, Tang Xiu directly closed his eyes and immersed his mind into cultivation. Duanmu Lin looked at Mo and said in a deep voice, "Take some people to protect Tan Xiu. We're going to kill these demonic beasts. Remember, take Tan Xiu and leave this place immediately if you see something amiss. Don't worry. Sect Master's life is more important than mine." Mo nodded. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from the crowd. "Oh my God! What happened? Why is the Feng Shui Grand Formation burning?" Instantly, many pairs of eyes looked at the demons and immortals slaying array. What shocked them was that the demons and immortals slaying array gradually turned red and turned into a huge furnace. Thousands of human cultivators could even hear the roars and wails of demonic beasts coming from the inside. Han Qingwu stood not far from Duanmu Lin and the three nascent soul stage experts with a distressed expression in her eyes. She lightly said, "The blood ignition secret art is used in conjunction with the heaven and earth array. Once it's used, it will incinerate all enemies inside the array. Only those who are strong enough can barely escape from it. However, those who use the blood ignition secret art will need to force out the blood essence from their hearts. This blood essence is condensed from a large amount of blood in the human body. Anyone who uses this secret art will suffer a huge backlash and even become severely weakened. He's using his life to kill these demonic beasts." Duanmu Lin, the three nascent soul stage powerhouses, and nearly 100 cultivators in the surroundings gasped and turned to look at Han Qingwu. Duanmu Lin walked a few steps toward Han Qingwu and cupped his fists. "Miss Han, thank you for your help just now. Tan Xiu's condition isn't very good. Can you help him?" Han Qingwu shook her head and interrupted Duanmu Lin. There was a bit of bitterness in her voice as she said, "I have no way to help him. Even if I do, I'm afraid he won't let me help him." "But?" asked Duanmu Lin with a frown. "Aren't you very close to each other?" With eyes full of love, Han Qingwu shot a deep look at Tan Xiu. Then she immediately soared into the sky and sprinted hundreds of meters in the air. She then sat cross-legged in the void, placed the zither on her thighs, and began to play immortal music to influence the demonic beasts inside the demons and immortals slaughtering array. "Damn it!" Devilgu Duo 2 furiously roared again and again. Ever since she rushed into the demons and immortals slaughtering array, she had been severely affected. She originally planned to kill Tan Xiu with her own strength and destroy the array. But not only did she fail to kill Tan Xiu, but she also fell into the trap. What infuriated her the most was that countless demonic beasts that followed her to Earth had died tragically. Escape! Run! The other two demonic beasts that were comparable to nascent soul stage powerhouses roared at Devilgu Duo 2 at the same time. They could see that they couldn't break the array with their strength, let alone rescue all the demonic beasts. They even felt a strong sense of crisis from the bottom of their hearts. They realized that if this furnace-like array were to explode, they would be blown to pieces. Devilgu Duo 2 angrily roared a few times, but she helplessly found that she couldn't break the array at all. She also felt a sense of crisis, so she finally chose to run for her life. Split. She cast another divine ability, and hundreds of her figures instantly appeared around her. Dozens of golden core demonic beasts were caught by her. At the same time, the two demonic beasts that were comparable to nascent soul stage powerhouses were wrapped up and solidified in an instant. In an instant, countless black holes appeared and black chains bombarded a single point, tearing a small gap in the array. She then led the two demonic beasts that were comparable to nascent soul stage powerhouses and dozens of golden core stage demonic beasts to escape from the demons and immortals' slaughtering array. Boom! A huge power erupted from the demons and immortals' slaughtering array, spreading in all directions like a mushroom cloud. Tens of thousands of demonic beasts that entered the demons and immortals' slaughtering array were blown to pieces, leaving only their demon cores on the ground. In an instant, Tan Xiao, who was sitting cross-legged at the blockade line, opened his eyes. Two rays of light flashed. After a short period of recovery, he regained his mobility and quickly sprinted to the huge pit that was dozens of meters deep and dozens of kilometers wide. As a gust of air swept past, he quickly collected the demon cores and put them into his interspatial ring. Thousands of human cultivators were frightened, including the three nascent soul stage powerhouses. They stared at the terrifying scene in front of them, dumbfounded. Looking at Tan Xiao's constantly flickering figure, they even felt that it was difficult to breathe. Too terrifying. Although they didn't know how many demonic beasts had entered the formation, the explosion of the formation was so powerful that it made their hearts churn like a tidal wave. Half a minute later, Tan Xiao used his interspatial ring to suck all the demon cores inside. After observing with his spiritual sense, he determined that the number of demon cores he had collected was 45,620. In other words, he had paid an extremely painful price to successfully kill 45,620 demonic beasts. Almost half. Tan Xiao nodded with satisfaction. He turned around and flew to the front of Duanmu Lin, laughing aloud. "Senior Duanmu, I've killed nearly half of the demonic beasts, but the array I laid out has also been completely destroyed. I'm afraid we'll have to fight the demonic beasts head-on next." Duanmu Lin's pupils shrunk and he exclaimed in horror, "You said you've successfully killed nearly half of the demonic beasts? How many did you kill?" 45,620, answered Tan Xiao. "What?" This time, not only Duanmu Lin, but the other cultivators also exclaimed in shock. If there was anyone who could remain calm among the people present, it was undoubtedly Han Qingwu. Han Qingwu and Tan Xiao had been together for thousands of years, so she naturally knew how powerful Tan Xiao's blood ignition secret art was after he combined it with an array. In the past, Tan Xiao once hunted down an evil race. There were billions of them, and he used this method to slaughter all of them. Unfortunately, his current strength was very weak. Compared with his previous peak strength, he was not even 1/10,000th. Otherwise, even if the Himalayas were full of demonic beasts, he would still be able to easily obliterate them. Bastard! Suddenly, an angry roar came from the depths of the Himalayas. The blood fiend monarch's figure moved as fast as lightning and instantly appeared above the deep pit. It then spewed black flames from its mouth and instantly arrived in front of thousands of humans. "Block it!" Tan Xiao's expression drastically changed, and his heart instantly turned cold. He could judge the blood fiend monarch's strength from its aura. That was the power possessed by a body integration stage powerhouse. "It seems I can only let the star devourer insect attack." Tan Xiao sighed inwardly and shook his head helplessly. Just as he was about to release the star devourer insect, a huge aura suddenly came from the direction of Ugly Town. Moreover, the intense heat seemed to ignite the earth, and the snow within a radius of tens of kilometers began to melt rapidly. A demonic beast? The fire Qilin was 3 stories tall, and its entire body was crimson. It was covered in raging flames, and it quickly rushed to the sky above the blockade line. As the flames collided with the demonic fire, the terrifying airflow caused all the cultivators to be shocked, and they were forced to retreat towards Ugly Town. After retreating to the sky above Ugly Town with the crowd, Tan Xiao watched the fire Qilin and the blood fiend monarch collide with each other with a strange look on his face. He remembered this fire Qilin very clearly. When he went treasure hunting with Miao Wen'ang and Xiao Mingjin, he had snatched a lot of precious ores from the underground maze where the fire Qilin was located. Wasn't it trapped in the underground maze? Why did it come out now? And why is it standing on the side of human cultivators and fighting that terrifying demonic beast? Chapter 1048. At this time, Miao Wendong and Xiao Mingjin silently appeared beside Tan Xiu. Both of them wore the same strange expression and shot Tan Xiu an inquiring look. "That's right. It's that fire Qilin," said Tan Xiu in a low voice. "But I didn't expect it to be so powerful. It seems that it didn't want to kill us, else we would have died in its hands no matter how fast we ran." "Did it break the natural array outside the underground maze?" asked Miao Wentong in a low voice. "How else did it come out?" "I'm guessing that the natural array didn't trap it," said Tan Xiu. "It's using the natural array to prevent outsiders from entering the underground space where it's located. However, though it's very strong, it's still lacking compared to that demonic beast." Miao Wentong's expression changed and he hurriedly asked, "Then what should we do?" "The fire Qilin's sudden appearance is like a savior. If it can't kill that terrifying demonic beast, then we can only be slaughtered." Tan Xiu was silent for a moment. Then he suddenly looked at Han Qingwu and said in a deep voice, "Join me to help the fire Qilin if you don't want to die. Only by killing it can we survive." "I'll do whatever you tell me to do." Han Qingwu directly nodded. Tan Xiu slightly furrowed his brows and immediately sat cross-legged. He arranged the 36 demon cores into a spirit-amassing array and began to communicate with the stars in the universe, crazily absorbing the power of the stars. The battle between the Fire Qilin and the Blood Beast King was particularly terrifying. They fought from the blockade line to the depths of the Himalayas and then rushed out again. For those cultivators with very low cultivation, it was impossible to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. However, they were fortunate that a Fire Qilin appeared at the critical moment, else they would have died here. Bush, 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 bush. Four figures flickered lightning fast from the distance and appeared in the place where Tan Xiu was in the blink of an eye. Tang An's figure flickered and directly disappeared, whereas Tang Guang, Qi Nan, and Kawako quickly looked at Tan Xiu. What happened to Grand Master?" asked Tang Guang hurriedly as he looked at Tan Xiu who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, dripping with blood. "Sect Master used the geomancy array to kill tens of thousands of demonic beasts, but he was also seriously injured," said Mo. "Right now, he's making the best use of his time to heal and recover his strength." "Is there any big problem?" asked Tang Guang hurriedly. "It's not a big problem." Mo shook his head and said, "Sect Master will be able to recover as before as long as he has some time." Tang Guang and the others secretly breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. At this moment, Duanmu Lin strode in the direction of Tan Xiu. He had already discovered that tens of thousands of magical beasts were charging towards him. "Xiu!" Shui Yu's figure appeared out of the blue to block Duanmu Lin's path and lightly said, "Senior Duanmu, Tan Xiu is recuperating. I hope you won't disturb him." Duanmu Lin was startled by Shui Yu's ghostly figure. After stopping his pace, he calmed down and observed Shui Yu a few times before asking in amazement, "You? How did you become so strong? It shouldn't be, right? Did Tan Xiu teach you some skills?" "You don't need to worry about how I became so strong, do you, Senior Duanmu?" said Shui Yu lightly. "If the news I got is correct, you should be the commander of the demonic beasts. Don't tell me you don't need to fight now that the army of demonic beasts has arrived?" "The number of demonic beasts is just too many." Duanmu Lin forced a smile. "Even if Tan Xiu has killed tens of thousands of them, we're still no match for those demonic beasts. Judging from the overall strength of human cultivators, we're not a match for those demonic beasts at all. That's why I came here in a hurry to ask Tan Xiu if he can rearrange the geomancy array and use it to kill those demonic beasts." "He's recuperating now." Shui Yu shook her head and said, "Please wait until he comes to see you no matter what you want." Duanmu Lin hesitated for a while before he finally sighed helplessly and turned to leave. Shui Yu strode forward and lightly came to Tan Xiu. She took out a delicate jade box from her interspatial ring and placed it in front of Tan Xiu. Then she softly said, "This is the spirit condensation jade pill Big Sis Yenner gave you. She said it will help you." Tan Xiu opened his eyes and a happy mood quickly grew inside his heart. The spirit condensation jade pill was a good elixir even in the immortal world. Not only could it greatly improve one's spiritual sense, but any cultivator below the immortal stage could directly break through their current level and have their strength soar after taking it. Just in time. Tan Xiu opened the jade box and quickly took out the spirit condensation jade pill from inside. He stuffed it into his mouth and closed his eyes again to absorb and refine it. In just a few minutes, Tan Xiu woke up from his cultivation. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw the fire Qilin's huge body being bombarded by the Blood Beast King and slamming into a 1,000-meter-high snow-capped mountain. On the ground, Duanmu Lin and thousands of human cultivators were already fighting the demonic beasts. Fortunately, the Tang sect's disciples formed a sword array and constantly resisted the demonic beasts' attacks, preventing the human cultivators from being defeated and being slaughtered by the demonic beasts. Shui Yu, Han Qingwu, you two come with me to help the fire Qilin. The rest of you hunt the demonic beasts and pay attention to the spirit formation and nascent soul demonic beasts among them. Bush. 3 figures dashed toward the Blood Beast King. Tan Xiu was very lucky. After taking the spirit condensation jade pill, not only did his injuries heal, his spiritual sense was also greatly enhanced, and even his cultivation made a breakthrough to the 3rd level of the Star Heavenly Essence stage. The only thing that puzzled him was that even though he had broken through to the 3rd level, he still hadn't obtained the Star Essence divine ability. Several nascent soul stage seniors helped the others kill the demonic beasts. "Ah, you guys also attack!" Tan Xiu shouted as he rushed toward the Blood Beast King. Kill! Kill! The melee turned into a bloodbath. It caused the ground to flow with rivers of blood and corpses to be strewn all over the ground. If an ordinary person were to witness this scene, that person would be scared to death. Watching Han Qingwu and Shui Yu rushing toward the Blood Beast King, Tan Xiu swung his arm and a stream of qi instantly rushed toward the snowy mountain peak. It instantly wrapped around the fire Qilin and pulled him up from the top. "Fire Qilin, thank you for not killing us. That demonic beast is very terrifying. If you fight it alone, I'm afraid you won't be its opponent. Let's join forces to kill it and get rid of this scourge," said Tan Xiu in a clear voice. The fire Qilin seemed to recognize Tan Xiu. He snorted coldly and sent his spiritual sense directly into Tan Xiu's sea of consciousness. "Kid, you took a lot of things from me. I don't want you to return them now, but I want half of the demon cores in those demonic beasts' corpses." Tan Xiu stared blankly and hurriedly said, "Fire Qilin, demon cores are too important to me. Half is too much. I promise to give you 1/5 of the demon cores to make up for my previous apology. How about it? 1/3. The fire Qilin's thought came again. Tan Xiu was silent for a moment before he gritted his teeth and said, "No problem. I'll give you 1/3 of the demon cores. But you need to answer a question for me. How do you know that demonic beasts have demon cores? What do you want so many demon cores for?" "I used to be an immortal beast in the immortal world, so I naturally know that demonic beasts have demon cores," said the fire Qilin. "There are no immortal stones or energy crystals on Earth. I want to arrange an array to return to the immortal world, but I lack something useful. Demon cores can replace immortal stones." "You can arrange an array from Earth to the immortal world?" asked Tan Xiu in astonishment. The fire Qilin nodded and then shook his head. His voice was transmitted to Tan Xiu's sea of consciousness again. "There is a damaged spatial array on Earth. I just need to repair it. However, it's been so many years, so I don't know if it can be repaired in the end." Tan Xiu looked ecstatic and said in a deep voice, "I'll help you repair the teleportation array. Don't worry. I have a deep attainment in arrays, and there are few immortals in the immortal world who are better than me. Anyways, let's stop talking and join hands to kill that demonic beast." The fire Qilin didn't hesitate and dashed toward the blood beast monarch. However, its voice was transmitted to Tan Xiu's sea of consciousness again. "I can't kill it, so I can only seal it. This demonic beast is very strong, and it's not just at the body integration stage. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the same situation as me, at least comparable to a perfected golden immortal." Tan Xiu gasped upon hearing this. If what the fire Qilin said was true, then it would be very difficult to kill it. This fire qilin is a scourge. We must get rid of it. Don't worry. As long as we can severely injure it, I'll have a way to kill it. Tan Xiu sent a voice transmission to the fire qilin just as he was about to rush to the front of Blood Beast Monarch. Understood. The fire qilin didn't say anything else and cast various divine abilities one after another. Together with Tan Xiu, Han Qingwu, and Shuiyu, they launched a flurry of attacks on Blood Beast Monarch. Although Tan Xiu had made a breakthrough, he could only barely match an early-stage soul formation cultivator and was even slightly inferior to Han Qingwu and Shuiyu. However, with the addition of the three people, Blood Beast Monarch was immediately suppressed. The soul formation stage demonic beast wanted to help Blood Beast Monarch, but was stopped by the three nascent soul stage human powerhouses. Time fleeted by. After a full 2 hours, Blood Beast Monarch was already riddled with scars and its aura had weakened a lot. Tan Xiu, Han Qingwu, and Shuiyu had also consumed a lot of their energy. If they continued to fight like this, they would probably run out of true essence. Han Qingwu, Heavenly Demon Zither Malady. Tan Xiu dodged Blood Beast Monarch's fierce blow and instantly retreated to Han Qingwu's side. Han Qingwu complied. Taking advantage of the fire qilin and Shuiyu attacking Blood Beast Monarch, she instantly retreated a kilometer and played her zither in midair. She once owed Tang Xiu, and she still loved him deeply even now. Therefore, she was very obedient. Chapter 1049. It was the Heavenly Demon Zither Song. It was a terrifying technique that could confuse one's mind and create illusions. After the battle, Tan Xiu realized that although this demonic beast's mental force was very strong, it had become very weak due to the suppression of the heaven and earth laws in this world. Using the Heavenly Demon Zither Song to influence it was definitely better than having Han Qingwu participate in the battle. Sure enough, as the Heavenly Demon Zither Song played, Blood Fiend Monarch's movements suddenly became sluggish. It must be noted that a slight carelessness in a fight between powerhouses could cost one their life. Blood Fiend Monarch's speed and strength slowed down, and it even desperately shook its head in an attempt to shake off the zither music that drilled into its mind. Boom! The fire qilin opened its mouth and spat out a red pill that bombarded Blood Fiend Monarch's abdomen. Just as Blood Fiend Monarch howled in pain, Shuiyu waved her immortal sword and tore a bloody wound on its back. The wound was so severe that it nearly fell to the ground due to the pain. Myriad swords returned to origin. Tan Xiu manipulated the divine sword and thousands of sword shadows shot toward Blood Fiend Monarch. While the fire qilin was still in shock, the swords pierced Blood Fiend Monarch's body and left thousands of wounds on its body. Roar! Blood Beast Monarch showed a look of despair. It never dreamed that someone could pierce its body with a sword. It must be noted that there was a layer of defense inside its body that even a supreme-grade immortal sword couldn't penetrate its body without the control of a powerhouse. That sword, Blood Fiend Monarch howled and turned to rush into the depths of the Himalayas. But after rushing for more than 10 kilometers, its aura suddenly stopped and its body fell to the ground. Did I just kill it? The fire qilin stared dumbfoundedly at Blood Fiend Monarch's body that fell to the ground. In just a few flashes it appeared next to the body. Tan Xiu grinned and appeared at Blood Fiend Monarch's side. The divine sword continued to cut its body into 8 parts and Tan Xiu stored them all into his interspatial ring. The fire qilin angrily glared at Tan Xiu and said in a deep voice, "Give me this demonic beast's demon nucleus." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "You can use the demon nucleus to repair the array, but I can help you. Also, the magic core is very important to me, so I can't give it to you. In fact, you only have one goal, and that is to repair the teleportation formation and send you back to the immortal world. Right? That's right. I just want to return to the immortal world. After being trapped on Earth for tens of thousands of years, I'm about to go crazy." "I promise you," said Tan Xiu. "You can leave freely if you can fix the teleportation array. If you can't fix it, I have a way to take you to the immortal world. However, it will take a long time, probably 10 to 20 years. The fire unicorn asked in surprise, "You have a way to go to the immortal world?" What will you do? I'll be able to ascend to the immortal world after I successfully cross the tribulation, said Tan Xiu. When the time comes, I naturally have a way to bring many people to the immortal world. The fire unicorn observed Tan Xiu deeply and then nodded. I believe you this time, but I hope you won't let me down. I've been waiting for tens of thousands of years, so I don't care about waiting for another 10 or 20 years. If you can really bring me back to the immortal world, I don't even need a single demon core. It's a deal, replied Tan Xiu immediately. The demon core was too important to him. The more he cultivated, the more resources he needed. If he could get nearly 100,000 demon cores, he could smoothly break through and eventually become a powerhouse comparable to the immortal stage. Fire Unicorn helped the human cultivators kill the other demonic beasts. There are still a lot of demonic beasts left. Let's kill more of them and let the human cultivators die. Tan Xiu turned to look at the direction of Ugly Town and spoke. Alright. The Fire Unicorn didn't care about it. It was thanks to Tan Xiu's group of 3 that they were able to kill that demonic beast. With the help of the Fire Unicorn, Tan Xiu, Han Qingwu, and Shuiyu, the originally suppressed battle situation instantly changed dramatically. Han Qingwu played the zither and used music to attack. On the other hand, Tan Xiu and Shuiyu slaughtered in all directions, constantly reaping the lives of the demonic beasts. The Fire Unicorn was even more brutal. He was like a tiger in a flock of sheep, killing the demonic beasts with no place to hide. The whole day passed. The battle in the Himalayas barely came to an end. Only less than 5,000 demonic beasts were left from nearly 100,000. They fled in panic and disappeared without a trace, apparently hiding somewhere in the depths of the Himalayas. Similarly, the human race also suffered great losses. There were originally thousands of cultivators, but now there were only 800 people left. Among these 800 people, more than 100 were crippled and more than 200 were seriously injured. At the temporary encampment, Duan Mulin called the leaders of the various forces. His mood was very heavy and his injuries were quite serious, but he didn't care about it at all. Everyone, we've wiped out the demonic beast army, leaving only thousands of demonic beasts in hiding. We can't find them for the time being and have no way to kill them. Therefore, I want to ask for your opinion. Do you want to stay and go deep into the depths of the Himalayas to continue hunting the remaining demonic beasts? The demonic beast army has been wiped out and the remaining thousands of demonic beasts have also gone into hiding. Tan Xiu shook his head and said, I'm afraid it won't be easy to find them in the depths of the Himalayas. Further, I still have a lot of things to do, so the Tang sect's disciples won't be staying here. I think it'll be very easy to find and kill those demonic beasts given the abilities of our friends in the cultivation world. Duan Mulin slightly furrowed his brows and forced a wry smile inwardly. Among the people in front of him, he hoped that Tan Xiu would stay with the Tang sect's disciples to help him hunt the demonic beasts. However, he was also aware of Tan Xiu's character. Once he decided on something, it would be very difficult for him to change his mind. Hence, he could only helplessly say, forget it since you have something to do. They won't pose too much of a threat to us as long as we don't encounter a large-scale demonic beast attack here. Inform me at once if there's any unforeseen event, said Tan Xiu. Duan Mulin nodded without a word and then asked the leaders of the other forces. After his pleading, most of the cultivator forces were finally willing to stay and help hunt the remaining demonic beasts. Even the whole unitary sect's nascent soul stage ancestor and the white-robed youth who had just woken up expressed their willingness to stay and wait until all the demonic beasts were killed. Under the hazy night, Tan Xiu quietly left Ugly Town with 192 disciples of the Tang sect. Although the Tang sect's disciples had made great contributions this time, Tan Xiu didn't accept any reward. What he had to do now was to hurry back to Nine Dragons Island and go into seclusion for some time. Less than a minute after they left, 4 or 5 figures silently appeared and looked in the direction they left in, all of them revealing respectful expressions. Bureau Chief Duanmu, if it wasn't for Tan Xiu, I'm afraid that we wouldn't be able to win this war. The middle-aged nun sighed. You're right. Duan Mulin nodded and said, Tan Xiu has indeed made a great contribution. But it's a pity that this brat already has a very high status and background. Besides, he doesn't like to be famous, so there aren't many bonuses for him. It's just unfair for him. The kind-looking old man slowly said, indifferent to fame and fortune, only seeking longevity. Fellow Taoist Tang is so young, yet he possesses such great strength. This is truly shocking. Now, I'm really curious about Tang sect. What kind of cultivation sect is it to be able to cultivate so many peerless geniuses? Duanmu Lin shook his head and said, I think it's best if you don't try to investigate the Tang sect. Else, Tan Xiu will be hostile to you once he learns about it. The kind-looking old man shook his head with a smile and said, Don't worry. I won't send anyone to investigate Tang sect, even if I'm curious. Besides, Tang sect has 2 spirit formation stage experts, a force that far surpasses the other cultivation forces. I may be old, but my brain is still pretty good, so I naturally can't have a conflict with Tan Xiu. At noon the next day, Tan Xiu appeared on Jingmen Island with the Tang sect's disciples. He didn't want to expose the matter on Nine Dragons Island, so he temporarily stationed everyone after they returned to the Everlasting Feast Hall's headquarters. Grand Master Tang Yin silently appeared at Tang Xiu's side and respectfully reported, We've investigated them. There are a total of 6 groups of people following us. Except for 2 groups whose origins we don't know, we've asked about the other 4 groups. All of them are from cultivation clans. They don't seem to have any malicious intent toward us. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Tan Xiu sneered. Our Tang sect's disciples have performed so well in this crisis, so it's only natural that it will attract the attention of other cultivation forces. It's only human nature for them to send people to follow us. However, we need to keep a low profile. Aren't we going to kill all those people who are following us? Asked Tang Yin hesitantly. Tan Xiu shook his head and said, Forget it. Those cultivators who can survive are the heroes of humanity. We don't need to pay attention to those people as long as Nine Dragons Island is not exposed. Tang Yin, tell Tang Guang to drive away all those trackers. Understood, Grand Master. Tang Yin replied and her figure flickered and disappeared. Suddenly, the door of Tan Xiu's residence was gently pushed open by a gust of wind as Shui Yu came to Tan Xiu with a smile on her face. She felt as though a century had passed during her seclusion cultivation. Although her strength was improving every day, she missed Tan Xiu's embrace every time she faced a crisis. Due to the demonic beasts, she didn't have much time to be intimate with Tan Xiu even though she could see Tan Xiu now. She had been holding back her longing for him until now. I miss you. Shui Yu stretched out her arms and hugged Tan Xiu's waist tightly. Tan Xiu could feel Shui Yu's true feelings and was slightly touched. He smiled and hugged her back, saying, Did Yen bully you? She even arranged that array for you to gain experience. No, said Shui Yu hurriedly. Yen did it for my own good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to help you in this demonic beast incident. Chapter 1050. A warm smile appeared on Tan Xiu's face as he looked at Shui Yu's exquisite face. From the time Shui Yu shamelessly pestered him until now, he had developed some feelings for her. Such a warming feeling made him feel very comfortable. Misfortune may be a blessing in disguise. Tan Xiu turned around and walked to the window. He couldn't help but sigh while looking at the lush trees and bright flowers outside. A beautiful face emerged in his mind. Shui Yu followed him and stood side by side with Tan Xiu. Then, she asked in surprise, What do you mean? Tan Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, I don't want to talk about the past anymore. Let's talk about something else. I'll ask you something, and you have to answer me seriously. Shui Yu nodded thoughtfully and said, Ask away. I'll definitely answer it seriously. Although you've broken through to the spirit formation stage and can be regarded as the top powerhouse on Earth, Tan Xiu asked. But I want to know something. Do you want to be a stable woman by my side in the future? Or do you want to share my burden and accompany me to conquer the world? Shui Yu suddenly smiled and said, This question is actually very easy to answer. I want to follow you wherever you go. Being your woman is not only to wash your clothes and cook for you, but also to face all enemies with you. I don't want to be helpless when you're in danger. Tan Xiao put his hand around her fragrant shoulder and let her lean on his shoulder. Then, he said in a soft voice, since you choose the second one, then help me train the scouts after we return to Nine Dragons Island. I hope you can train a lot of Foundation Establishment and Golden Core experts in the next few years. Shui Yu nodded. Suddenly, her eyes lit up and said, I'm afraid the demonic beasts in the Himalayas won't be completely eliminated in a short time. If they hide and breed, the number of demonic beasts will increase in the future. Since you want me to train those children, it's better to let me select the elites and take them to the depths of the Himalayas. Through Yenr's training, I'm deeply aware that only through dangerous battles can I truly become stronger. Not only the demonic beasts in the depths of the Himalayas, but also the battlefields all over the world, Tan Xiao said with a faint smile. I hope that wherever there is a war in the future, there will be the shadow of our Tang sect's disciples. There are a lot of things to do this year, so I won't waste time. Starting next year, I need to make a big move. At that time, our Tang sect's strength will multiply and the so-called 3 strongest organizations in the world will have to give way to us. What big move? Asked Shui Yu. Tan Xiao mysteriously smiled and said, just wait. You'll see soon enough. Shui Yu didn't ask again. She would agree and support any decision Tan Xiao made. Even if Tan Xiao told her that he wanted to be the king of the world, she would follow him without hesitation. Bang bang. The door was knocked and Kawako's voice came from outside. Boss, it's me, Kawako. Shui Yu turned around and walked to the door. When she opened it, she saw Kawako standing straight outside. Her black leather clothes vividly displayed her very good figure. Her exquisite and beautiful face and her long black hair made her look even more valiant and formidable. Lady Boss. Kawako had witnessed Shui Yu's strength and respected her from the bottom of her heart. She also learned that she was Tan Xiao's woman, so she was very respectful at this moment. Tan Xiao is inside. You can talk now, said Shui Yu with a smile. Kawako watched Shui Yu leave and then entered the door. She came to Tan Xiao's back and respectfully said, Boss, Missouri all said that you were looking for me? Tan Xiao turned around and observed Kawako. He couldn't help but sigh. I never thought that you would break through to the Golden Core stage so quickly. Back then, I took you in as my subordinate because I wanted you to work for me and get Japan's cultivation resources. But now it seems that my original idea has been overturned. You're a talent that Tan Xiao needs. Kawako secretly rejoiced inwardly. When she received Tan Xiao's summon and rushed to China, she faintly felt that she had become very powerful and that her strength was not far from Tan Xiao's. Maybe it wouldn't take long for her to surpass Tan Xiao. But after the battle in the Himalayas, she clearly realized that the gap between her and Tan Xiao had not been narrowed, but had instead widened. Such a discovery made Kawako finally realize that Tan Xiao's strength was not something she could compare with. Not only did he have a large number of powerhouses under him, but he was also someone she had to look up to. Hence, her mentality had also changed. She had completely submitted to Tan Xiao and no longer dared to have any disloyal thoughts. Even more so, after she learned that Tan Xiao founded the Tang sect and became its first sect master, she was full of expectations, hoping to become a disciple of the sect and become Tan Xiao's true confidant. At this moment, she had a faint feeling that what she had been looking forward to was about to come true. I'll control my men, said Tan Xiao. The strong will rise and the weak will step down. Regardless of your origin, I'll put you in an important position as long as you have formidable strength. You'll get a glorious position in the Tang sect. Kawako, I told you before that the first 6 of my men who break through to the Golden Core stage will become the guardian elders of the Tang sect. I won't be prejudiced against you just because you're a Japanese. Hence, I'll allow you to join the Tang sect from now on and become a true disciple. Furthermore, you're also a guardian elder of the Tang sect, so all the ordinary disciples must salute you when they see you. Further, you can also get the cultivation resources that the guardian elders of the Tang sect get every year. Kawako looked ecstatic and directly knelt on one knee. She clenched her right fist on her left chest and respectfully said, Thank you, Thank you, Sect Master. You're the one who spared my life and taught me a cultivation technique that made me very powerful. You're also the one who sent people to help me become a big shot in Japan. My life is yours from now on, and I'm willing to be at your beck and call and devote everything to you. Tan Shio squinted his eyes. He could see the sincerity in Kawako's eyes and gently nodded. Then he personally helped her up and said, "Remember what you said today. When you break through to the spirit formation stage in the future and leave Earth with me to set foot on a broader stage, I'll lift the seal in your body. Further, if you can break through to the nascent soul stage faster, I'll treat you as my right-hand man in the future and put you in an important position." Kawako's expression slightly changed and she hurriedly asked, "Old Sect Master, you said you'll take me away from Earth? To where?" "In my eyes, Earth is just a speck of dust in the vast universe. It's just too small," said Tang Shio meaningfully. "Even this universe is just a tiny place in my eyes, Kawako. The world is far bigger than you can imagine, and there are vast star fields in the distant places. The star regions formed a boundless world, and there were billions of races living there. There were countless powerhouses. My battlefield will be there in the future. If you're determined to follow me, you'll be able to see a vaster world and fight side by side with me to carve out a brighter world." "You mean there are countless humans in other places in the universe besides Earth?" asked Kawako in amazement. A smile outlined on the corner of Tan Shio's mouth. "Humans are just a very small part of them. There are hundreds of millions of races and innumerable powerhouses there. Forget it. You won't be able to imagine it even if I tell you now. After you break through to the spirit formation stage, you'll be qualified to leave with me. You'll be able to proclaim yourself as a king there and carve out a path for yourself, becoming an existence worshipped by hundreds of millions of races and powerhouses." Kawako's eyes burst with a dazzling light, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated several times. She was an ambitious woman, and the vision of the future described by Tan Shio filled her heart with fighting spirit. Could it be that Sect Master originally belonged there? Such a thought suddenly popped up in her mind. Tan Shio handed her a storage ring and lightly smiled. "Drip a drop of your blood on it and sense it with your spiritual sense. There are cultivation resources inside as a reward for you. Take it back and have a look. Don't go back to Japan in the near future. Follow me to the Tang sect's real encampment and cultivate there for some time." "Understood," replied Kawako respectfully. "Is there anything urgent you need to deal with in Japan?" asked Tan Shio. Kawako hesitated for a moment and then said, "I've been preparing for a big opportunity recently. If this plan succeeds, I'll become the Yamamoto family's patriarch and the North Star One Blade School's sect master. My status in Japan will also advance by leaps and bounds. Also, I've been personally presiding over a business that involves nearly 10 million in investment. Once it's done, the future earnings will be even more massive." Tan Shio squinted his eyes and shot a deep look at Kawako. Then he lightly smiled and said, "If so, I'll allow you to choose 10 children to be your right-hand men after you come with me to the Tang sect's encampment. After you've finished your cultivation in Nine Dragons Island, you can take them back to Japan to work for you." "Children?" asked Kawako, confused. "Don't ask too much." Tan Shio lightly smiled and said, "You'll know when we arrive at the sect's encampment. Let's go. We need to stay here for 2 days. After that we'll leave." "Understood." Kawako left the room and closed the door from the outside. Tan Shio then looked out of the window again and silently pondered about something. He had exposed the existence of the Tang sect due to the demonic beasts, as well as the fact that he had a large number of powerhouses under him. Although the Tang sect's strength could deter some people, it would also make some people wary of him. He also thought about Duanmu Lin and the Special Abilities Bureau. Now that the Special Abilities Bureau had suffered heavy losses, Duanmu Lin had begun to think of ways to select some experts from the rogue cultivators in the country to join the Special Abilities Bureau. If the country represented by Duanmu Lin also began to be wary of him, it would be very troublesome in the future. Chapter 1051. In both his past and present life, Tan Shio was good at thinking. Furthermore, after experiencing the ways of the world on Earth, Tan Xiu's EQ had also been raised to a high level. Although he still couldn't sort out his feelings, at least it didn't affect his mood. There were other reasons for him to stay in Jingmen Island, the two islands in the boundless sea in the south. Breeding fierce beasts. Planting medicinal herbs. Each of these two things was very important. As the children he nurtured grew up in the future, their strength would also grow stronger, and the cultivation resources he would need to consume would be an astronomical figure. If he were to rely solely on the wild medicinal herbs on Earth, the supply would definitely fall short of the demand. At the window, Tan Xiu's expression suddenly moved. He paused his thoughts and looked at the southern sea because he sensed a surging aura deliberately spreading from the south. Although the time was very short, only a few seconds, in the next moment, he instantly sprinted towards the south. Tan Xiu. Shuiyu, who also sensed the aura, chased after him on her immortal sword. Did you also feel it? Asked Tan Xiu. Do you feel it familiar? Shuiyu shook her head. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly. Shuiyu, after all, had never experienced the brutal immortal world. She also lacked the experience of fighting and killing between humans, immortals, and demons, so her ability to identify auras was very poor. The moment he sensed the aura, he knew who it was. The boundless sea was surging with waves. However, a raging fire was burning on the surface of the sea. Tan Xiu and Shuiyu flew high in the air and appeared in the deep sea tens of kilometers away. Then, they saw the fire Qilin stepping on the surface of the sea and looking at them. You're here. The fire Qilin didn't even glance at Shuiyu. His eyes were locked on Tan Xiu as he communicated with Tan Xiu through his divine sense. I knew you'd find me sooner or later, Fire Qilin, but I didn't expect you to come so fast. Tan Xiu smiled. I'm very curious about your origin, Fire Qilin. Why did you choose to stand on the side of humans and demonic beasts? You don't need to know my background, although you've already guessed a little. I need a way to leave Earth and return to the immortal world, so I need a teleportation array. All the monster cores that you humans obtained from magical beasts belong to you. I didn't get any, because you said you could bring me back to the immortal world. The flames on the Fire Qilin's body flared up, and the temperature of the surrounding sea rose as well. Around the Fire Qilin, the seawater boiled and many fish and prawns floated to the surface. I know you want to return to the immortal world, Fire Qilin, said Tan Xiu indifferently. I have a way to bring you back to the immortal world. But now was not the time. I've told you before that I still have a lot of things that I haven't done, and my strength hasn't reached the point where I can break through to become an immortal. So, you need to wait patiently. When I go to the immortal world, I will naturally inform you. The Fire Qilin asked, but what? You should be well aware that entering the immortal world is a very difficult thing, said Tan Xiu indifferently. It requires a huge amount of energy, and the process is also full of danger. Therefore, it's hard for me to trust you if you don't clearly explain your situation in the immortal world and how you came to Earth. The Fire Qilin fell into silence. He knew that Tan Xiu was right, but he didn't want to mention the past to outsiders. However, in order to return to the immortal world, he decided to reveal a bit of information to the human in front of him. I'm the guardian immortal beast of an immortal sect in the immortal world. My status is above the azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise. The founder of the immortal sect I belong to is a human from Earth, so he left an order before he ascended to the god's realm. I sensed that the planet he was born on was facing a huge crisis, so I, azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise rushed here to protect this planet. Tan Xiu's expression changed and he said in a deep voice, that's just nonsense. The Azure Dragon Holy Sect, White Tiger Holy Sect, and Black Tortoise Holy Sect have disappeared from the immortal world hundreds of thousands of years ago. The only surviving one is the Rosefinch Holy Sect, but there's no record of it in the Myriad Depository Pavilion. Don't tell me you have nothing to do with the Rosefinch Holy Sect I just mentioned. The Fire Qilin's aura soared again. Its millstone-sized eyes stared at Tan Xiu and even stopped communicating with his spiritual sense as he shouted, Who the hell are you? How do you know about the immortal world? How do you know about the 4 sacred sects? Tan Xiu released his aura to resist the Fire Qilin's pressure and coldly snorted. You may be very powerful, Fire Qilin, but I'm not afraid of you. It'll be very easy for me to kill you if I want to. Therefore, retract your aura. I don't want to cause other troubles. While speaking, Tan Xiu gently raised his left hand and forced the Star Devourer insect out of his fingers, letting it fly up and land on his shoulder. The Fire Qilin didn't notice it at first, but when the Star Devourer insect landed on Tan Xiu's shoulder, it cried out in horror, Damn Star Devourer insect. How come this race hasn't died out yet? Tan Xiu could see the Fire Qilin's fear of the Star Devourer insect and indifferently said, What we're talking about now isn't about the Star Devourer insect, right? Tell me, what's your origin? The Fire Qilin shook its head and roared, Knowing too much will make you die without a burial place. I just want to return to the immortal world and have no intention of harming you. Don't force me again, else I'll tear you to pieces even if you have this damn Star Devourer insect to protect you. Tan Xiu deeply frowned. Feeling the Fire Qilin's determination, he secretly felt a bit helpless. To be honest, the Fire Qilin did arouse his curiosity. If he couldn't get what he wanted to know, he wouldn't be able to eat or sleep well for the next few days. Suddenly, his expression shifted and he immediately made a few gestures toward the Fire Qilin. The Fire Qilin's eyes stared straight at Tan Xiu as he finished making those gestures. As its aura soared again, it let out a few excited roars and laughed. A disciple of the Rosefinch Holy Sect? You're actually a disciple of the Rosefinch Holy Sect? Pa, I'm very happy to see a disciple of my sect. This proves that the Rosefinch Holy Sect hasn't been destroyed yet. What do you mean? Asked Tan Xiu in a deep voice. The Fire Qilin retracted its aura and moved closer to Tan Xiu. The Five Beasts sect was the top immortal cultivation sect in the immortal world hundreds of thousands of years ago. It was founded by Master himself. The Five Beasts sect once shook the entire immortal world. Its fame even spread far and wide in the demon realm, monster realm, spirit realm, netherworld, and other worlds. Master, Azure Emperor, stood above hundreds of millions of races and overlooked all living beings. Some people once said that Master was not inferior to a real god. Nonsense! Tan Xiu angrily shouted. Azure Emperor is indeed the founding ancestor of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, but it's not the Five Beasts sect you're talking about. The Fire Qilin shook its head. Just listen to me and you'll naturally know the origin of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. After hundreds of thousands of years of development, the Five Beasts sect has become the most powerful sect in the immortal world. Even the other forces in the immortal world are terrified of it. But before Master ascended to the god realm, he divided the Rosefinch Holy Sect into 5 separate sects, namely the Qilin Holy Sect, the Azure Dragon Holy Sect, the Rosefinch Holy Sect, the White Tiger Holy Sect, and the Black Tortoise Holy Sect. I'm the immortal beast protector of the Qilin Holy Sect. The Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise are the immortal beast protectors of the other 4 sections. There's an old saying in Huaxia, prosperity is followed by decline. Along with Master's ascension, the 5 sects lost the protection of the most powerful supremes and eventually attracted the attention of many forces. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was an earth-shattering war in the immortal world. Various forces attacked the Five Beasts sect, but the sect was eventually defeated and became an ordinary immortal sect in the immortal world. Because of this, the 5 sacred sects formed by the Five Beasts sect gradually moved to the dark. If I remember correctly, the Azure Dragon, the White Tiger, and the Black Tortoise all died in battle. Only I and the Vermilion Bird survived. I brought the descendants of the Azure Dragon, the White Tiger, the Black Tortoise, and the Vermilion Bird to Earth to protect his hometown. Tan Xiu looked at the Fire Qilin in disbelief. He never dreamed that the Rosefinch Holy Sect would have such a secret. He never thought that the Fire Qilin would protect Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. Fire Qilin, what about the immortals of the other sacred sects? Where did they go? I've been in the immortal world for 10,000 years, but I've never heard of the Qilin Holy Sect, the Azure Dragon Holy Sect, the White Tiger Holy Sect, and the Black Tortoise Holy Sect. Tan Xiu took a deep breath to calm his surging emotions and asked in a deep voice. I don't know what happened after that. The Fire Qilin shook his head. Ever since we came to Earth, we've been guarding this planet. Although Earth was almost destroyed several times, we finally managed to save it with our joint efforts. Unfortunately, when the Azure Dragon, the White Tiger, the Vermilion Bird, and the Black Tortoise followed me here, they were all very young and not very powerful. After hundreds of thousands of years, they all died in the end. Only I managed to survive until now. Tan Xiu nodded silently. Although he didn't understand most of what the Fire Qilin said, he was clear about one thing. The founder of the Rosefinch Holy Sect was called Emperor Qin. Go back first, Fire Qilin. I'll remember what you said. When we return to the immortal world, I'll naturally take you to the Rosefinch Holy Sect to confirm your identity. If what you said is true, then we're on the same side, said Tan Xiu. The Fire Qilin thought for a while and suddenly said, Actually, I have a way to prove what I said. Tan Xiu narrowed his eyes and asked, How do you prove it? The Fire Qilin raised his head and loudly said, I know the name of your Rosefinch Holy Sect's immortal beast protector. I don't think there are many immortals in the immortal world who still know her name, right? Tan Xiu was shaken inwardly and replied in a deep voice, I can guarantee that only a handful of immortals in the entire immortal world know her name. And I'm one of them. Chapter 1052. A cool breeze whistled in the vast sea. Tan Xiu stepped on the surface of the sea and stared at the distant horizon. The Fire Qilin had left with a heart full of joy, leaving Tan Xiu to remain silent for a long time. Before leaving, the Fire Qilin told him the name of the Rosefinch Holy Sect's immortal beast protector, which was exactly the same as what Tan Xiu knew. Originally, Tan Xiu only believed 30% of the Fire Qilin's words. But after the Fire Qilin told him the name, he believed 70% of it. However, even if there was still a 10% suspicion, Tan Xiu didn't dare to lower his guard against the Fire Qilin. Once he returned to the immortal world, he would have to face several supremes. The Rosefinch Holy Sect was indeed very powerful in the immortal world, and also had supremes. Rosefinch Holy Sect wouldn't be afraid if his enemy was only one supremes. But if there were several supremes, it would be very difficult to save his life before his strength was restored to its peak. Furthermore, he still had a big enemy, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. After a long time, Tan Xiu turned to look at Shuiyu, who had a complicated expression on her face. He forced a smile and said, I'm afraid you already know my origin. Do you think that I'm an old monster who has lived for 10,000 years and despise me? If you marry a chicken, follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, follow the dog. Shuiyu shook her head and said, I'm already yours. Even if you tell me that you're a monkey who has lived for 10,000 years, I won't leave you. Tan Xiu couldn't help but laugh. He smiled and hugged Shuiyu in his arms, saying, I didn't expect Jade Beauty to also know humor. How come I didn't find you talented in this aspect before? Shuiyu blushed. After returning to Jingmen Island's everlasting feast hall, Tan Xiu immediately led several experts from his sect to the 2 islands in the South China Sea. After inspecting them, he was very satisfied with the fierce beasts and medicinal herbs planted there. Even though they had lost their freedom, they didn't have to worry about food and water. They even began to reproduce, and their numbers were not small. On the way back, Tan Xiu's liner encountered a yacht. To his surprise, the beauty on the bow of the yacht, who was sunbathing, holding a glass of red wine and wearing a bikini, turned out to be Qing Yannan, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Beauty, let's have a drink. Tan Xiu stood at the bow of the liner and looked at Qing Yannan, who was 100 meters away. His voice wasn't loud, but it was clearly transmitted to Qing Yannan's ears. The moment Qing Yannan saw Tan Xiu, she immediately exclaimed in surprise. Then, a smile appeared on her face as she stood up and waved her arms, shouting, Great! I have some good wine here. Do you want to come over and have a taste? Tan Xiu let out a faint smile and instantly jumped from the bow. He trod on the sea surface as though he was walking on flat ground and came to the yacht in just a few seconds. He observed Qing Yannan, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, and smilingly said, I never thought that the great Bell Cheng would be so free and unrestrained. You're actually vacationing alone at sea. Is it because you got the news about your sister that all your thoughts are gone now? Thank you for saving my big sis, Tan Xiu, said Cheng Yannan with a smile. You're welcome. Tan Xiu smiled and said, Officer Cheng helped me a lot in the past, so it's only right to save her once. That's not what I'm talking about. Cheng Yannan shook her head and said, If I'm not mistaken, my big sis should be like me now, no? Tan Xiu raised his brows and his eyes began to linger on Cheng Yannan's body. After looking at her a bit shyness, he asked with a strange expression, Your special ability has also awakened? Cheng Yannan stared blankly and her shyness immediately disappeared without a trace. She was surprised and asked, How did you find out about it? I didn't use my special ability just now. Tan Xiu lightly smiled and said, Would you believe me if I told you that the Huagua Mountain used to be mine? Cheng Yannan couldn't help but burst into laughter. She rolled her eyes at Tan Xiu and snappily said, Do you really think you're the Monkey King with fiery eyes of truth? That's right, I've indeed awakened my special ability. I was scared at first, but I gradually got used to it. In addition, my sister gave me a call, and I learned about the situation of special abilities from her. You two sisters are related by blood. Tan Xiu smiled and said, Since her special ability has awakened, I'm afraid yours will also awaken sooner or later. However, you must remember that you must never use your special ability in front of ordinary people. Otherwise, someone will quickly find you once it's exposed. You'll probably be in a lot of trouble once they find you. The smile on Cheng Yannan's face disappeared. She frowned and asked, What do you mean? Who's looking for me? What kind of trouble? It's the State Special Abilities Bureau, answered Tan Xiu. What department is this? Asked Cheng Yannan curiously. To put it bluntly, most of the people here are ability users, said Tan Xiu with a smile. They are looking for ability users and then ask them to join them and serve the country. You'll be in a lot of danger in the future if you also become a member of the State Special Abilities Bureau. For example, a major event happened in the country recently. As far as I know, the number of ability users who died in battle is probably more than 100. Ability users? Died in battle? Although Cheng Yannan didn't know what happened, she was still startled. She looked at Tan Xiu with a bewildered expression and asked, What exactly happened? How come so many ability users died? Tan Xiu, you're not lying to me, are you? I feel that I'm getting more and more powerful day by day after I got my special ability. Who can kill ability users? Are ability users very difficult to kill? Asked Tan Xiu. Cheng Yannan recalled Tan Xiu's terrifying strength as well as the terrifying strength of his men. She immediately fell into silence. That's right. Tan Xiu and his men had the strength to kill ability users. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. Tan Xiu waved his hand and said, I heard from the person in charge of Clam Island that you've performed very well in recent months, especially your wood attribute ability. It can even destroy medicinal herbs and make them grow quickly. This is definitely a great achievement. Work hard and you'll be the overall supervisor of the two islands after the person in charge is transferred back in the future. You really want me to be the overall supervisor of the two islands? Cheng Yannan's eyes lit up and she was pleasantly surprised. Don't worry, said Tan Xiu with a smile. Wait until you're fully familiar with the situation here and can fully control it. The position of the overall supervisor will definitely be yours. He's gonna give me a raise, huh? Cheng Yannan giggled. Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing and said, I'll tell the person in charge to increase your salary tenfold. Ha! You're an ability user now, after all, so you can't be stingy with your salary. Cheng Yannan gave a thumbs up and praised, Old classmate, you're really bright. You're much better than that fellow Yuan Chuling. He lent me a yacht and even took away most of the wine he hid in it. It's like he's afraid that I'll drink all his red wine. Tan Xiu's expression moved and he curiously asked, I haven't had time to contact Yuan Chuling recently. How is that guy now? How did he come to Jingmen Island to buy a yacht? I don't know. Cheng Yannan shook her head and said, I only know that he's been hooking up with 2 students from Monster Science and Technology University recently. I don't know what they're doing specifically. That's right, I heard that those two students from Monster Science and Technology University are your classmates. My classmates? Tan Xiao wore a strange expression. After thinking for a while, he asked, "Are you going to continue having fun on the sea, or are you going back to Jingmen Island with us? Since that brat Yuan Chuling is in Jingmen Island, I'm going to meet him." "All right. I've been having fun here for a long time anyway, so I'll go back with you," said Qing Yannan. Jingmen Island. Venus Hotel, in the presidential suite on the 18th floor. Yuan Chuling was sitting cross-legged and comfortably nestled on the soft sofa. In front of him, Yu Kai, who was wearing a sneaky smile on his face, glanced at the panting and sweating Hu Qingsong beside him and smoked a cigarette happily. On the coffee table in front of the three of them, over $1 million in cash was neatly arranged. It was bright red in color. "I say, old Hu, can you do it or not? As long as you can complete 200 push-ups and 200 sit-ups, this $1 million bill will be all yours. Otherwise, Yu Kai and I will each get a share." The muscles on Yuan Chuling's face twitched as he let out a strange laugh. Hu Qingsong angrily glared at Yuan Chuling before he lay on the carpet and did his push-ups again. Finally, when he was almost exhausted, he managed to finish 200 push-ups with great difficulty. Then, his body seemed to be injected with power as he directly got up from the floor and grabbed the black leather bag at the side. He threw all the 1 million cash into the black bag and then proudly said, "I'm willing to bet, so I'm willing to lose. Bro, I'm done, so this 1 million is mine." Haha. Yu Kai puffed out a series of smoke rings and laughed. "I say, old Hu, we've recently made tens of millions, and you've got more than 4 million, brat. Do you really have to risk your life for this 1 million? At most, I'll just go to the bath center less in the future and find a few girls to talk about love. That'll be fine." "You bastard! A full man doesn't know the hunger of a starving man," Hu Qingsong smilingly scolded. "My kidneys are good, so I feel uncomfortable holding it in. Anyways, Yuan Chuling, we've made so much money recently. Shouldn't we go back to Shanghai?" Yuan Chuling shook his head and said, "It's not easy for us to come out, and we've come across a profitable business. If we stop now, we'll suffer a loss. Both of you are Tan Xiao's classmates and brothers, so we're on the same side. Don't worry. Follow me, old Yuan, and I'm sure you'll have a good life and make a lot of money." Yu Kai put away his smile and said, "Old Yuan, I think what old Hu said makes sense. I'm sure you know when to stop. We did beat those brats, but they're not easy to deal with, especially that Hanson brat. He's definitely a ruthless character. If he spends a lot of money to get a good dog, our big Huang won't be able to beat him. At that time, do you want to lose the money we've won with great difficulty?" "That's impossible," Yuan Chuling proudly said. "Big Huang has the bloodline of the Tibetan Mastiff. He's good at fighting and is definitely the king of dogs." Chapter 1053. When the three of them saw the dogfighting circle in Shanghai, they immediately fell in love with this gambling method. Yuan Chuling didn't even want to manage the gym anymore. All day long, he was thinking about how to get a good dog and then make a big profit. He didn't expect that his luck would be so good. He went to the west with Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong, and they really got a good dog. In Shanghai, the dogfighting gambling was very strict. Although they had participated a few times and made some money, they always felt unhappy. Therefore, they heard that there were a lot of people gambling in Jingmen Island, and the scale was not small, so the three of them and a dog directly came to Jingmen Island. In just 10 days, the three of them relied on the big yellow dog with the Tibetan Mastiff bloodline to win tens of millions from a group of Jingmen Island's silk pants. "Forget it, let's play one last time. No one will take out $1 million. No matter who wins or loses, we'll immediately return to Shanghai with Big Yellow. Now that we have the funds, we should learn from Big Bro Tang and start thinking of ways to start a business," said Yu Kai with all seriousness. "You're talking about you, but don't drag me into it," said Yuan Chuling with a grin. "Dude, I've already started my business and I've achieved very good results. Do you know how much profit my gym can make in a year? Tens of millions? Isn't it awesome?" Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong rolled their eyes at the same time and then raised their middle fingers at Yuan Chuling. you're hugging Big Bro Tang's thigh and getting rich with him. What's there to be proud of? Yu Kai snorted. If Big Bro Tang could give us some tricks to get rich, I'm afraid we would have become billionaires by now. Speaking of Big Bro Tang, where has he been recently? I called him, but his cell phone has been hanging up. I can't find him even if I want to drink with him. Yu Kai, Big Bro Tang has a lot of beauties around him, and each and every one of them is the best, said Yuan Chuling with a smile. If you can invite him to drink with you, I, old Yuan, will follow your lead and recognize you as my big brother. Yu Kai coughed a few times and raised his hand to touch his nose, covering half of his face with an awkward expression. He was very clear that Tan Xiu never took the initiative to flirt with other women, because it was always the flowers that took the initiative to throw themselves at him. That luck with women had long made him envious. I'll make a phone call. Yuan Chuling took out his mobile and dialed a number. He then put his mobile back and said, I've already talked to Hansen. Let's gamble one last time at the same place. Whether we win or lose, we will leave Jingmen Island and return to Shanghai. 2 hours later, just as the three of them left the Venus Hotel and got into a small container truck, Yuan Chuling's cell phone rang. It should be Hansen calling us to hurry us up. Yuan Chuling chuckled as he took out his phone. When he saw the caller ID, he suddenly stood up. Ouch! The pain from hitting his head on the roof of the car made him see stars. After screaming, he sat back on his seat, pressed the answer button and called out, Big Bro Tang, you heartless bastard. Where the hell have you been recently? I've been calling you, but I can't get through to you. Did you forget about these brothers of yours? What the hell are you talking about? Tan Xiu scolded with a smile. I've been quite busy lately, and the place I've been to doesn't have a good cell signal, so I didn't receive your call. But the brothers you mentioned, who else is there besides you? Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong. Yuan Chuling rubbed his head. How did the three of you get together? Tan Xiu was confused. I went to your campus to look for you some time ago, but I couldn't find you. So I played with these two for a few days, said Yuan Chuling. I didn't expect that their temperament and mine would be the same, so we found a common interest and left Shanghai to have fun. That's right, where are you now, Big Bro Tang? We're in Jingmen Island, right? Do you want to fly to us? Tell me the address, I'll go find you, said Tan Xiu with a smile. Address? Yuan Chuling stared blankly for a moment and was surprised. You're also in Jingmen Island? That's right, replied Tan Xiu with a smile. Big Bro Tang, do you know where the 100 Emerald Garden is? Yuan Chuling immediately said. Just use the GPS if you don't know. It's a good place. The three of us have a bet with someone, and we'll be there in half an hour. Hurry up and give us some support. Bet? What do you mean? Tan Xiu curiously asked. I can't explain it in a few words, said Yuan Chuling. You'll know when you come. I'm sure the things we'll play will make your eyes light up. All right. Tan Xiu replied and directly hung up. Quickly, the Yuan Chuling trio took a small container truck and rushed to the 100 Emerald Garden. In a remote corner of the 100 Emerald Garden, more than a dozen youths with 4 or 5 fighting dogs were squatting there and smoking. A youth with white-dyed hair and an ear stud said to his companion with a proud look in his eyes. Hansen, we're coming. Yuan Chuling was holding a rope in his hand and leading a big yellow dog as he rushed over. Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong, who were beside him, quickly followed. The young man with dyed white hair, who was also known as Han Sen, threw the cigarette butt on the ground and stamped it out with his foot. Then he strode forward and said, Fatty Yuan, the three of you won quite a lot of money a few days ago. Today, I must get my revenge. Did you see that fighting dog I just bought? It'll definitely bite your big yellow dog to death. Yuan Chuling rolled his eyes and snorted, Hey Hansen, you always say the same thing before every match. How many times have you said it? All right, we're in a hurry. We still have to go back to Shanghai after we win this match. A cold light flashed in Hansen's eyes when he heard this. He turned to look at a yellow-haired youth not far away and found that the other party gently nodded to him. He immediately showed a satisfied smile. He even glanced at the big yellow dog that Yuan Chuling was holding without anyone noticing. Yuan Chuling, how about we play a bigger game this time? We've bet 8 million. If you win, 8 million is yours. But if you lose, you'll lose 8 million to us. How about it? Yuan Chuling was about to speak, but Yukai raised his chin and said, let alone 8 million, we can even take out 18 million. But we don't think it's good to win a lot of money every time. How about this? We'll take out 3 million to bet with you. If we win, you'll give us 3 million. If we lose, we'll give you 3 million. Then, we'll stay for a few days and continue gambling with you. All right. Hansen had gambled with Yuan Chuling several times and found that this guy named Yukai was very shrewd. Since they had already made up their minds, he didn't want to say more. Quickly, both of them led their dogs to a cage. Just as Yuan Chuling was about to put the big yellow dog into the cage, 2 black SUVs came from a distance. Big Bro Tang. Yuan Chuling's group of 3 immediately looked pleasantly surprised upon seeing Tan Xiao. After getting off the car, Tan Xiao glanced at the people in front of him. He then walked over and asked, what are you doing? Just posture. Are you going to have a dog fight? I don't have any other way to make money, so I can only win some pocket money with a dog. Yuan Chuling grinned and said, just wait and see, Brother Tang. We'll treat you to a big meal after we win 3 million. Tan Xiao rolled his eyes and turned to look at Yukai and Hu Qingsong, saying, what's wrong with you 2 learning from Yuan Chuling? Why do you have to learn gambling? Stop playing and come with me. Let's get together in Jingmen Island today. I'm going somewhere else early in the morning. Where are you going? Asked Yuan Chuling. Overseas, answered Tan Xiao. Hansen looked at Yuan Chuling and Tan Xiao's group in a bad mood. If Tan Xiao hadn't brought several burly men with him, he wouldn't have been able to restrain himself. Suddenly, a clear voice came. Dog fighting is illegal, Yuan Chuling. You should be arrested, detained, and even sentenced for this kind of behavior. Yuan Chuling looked at Qing Yannan and suddenly looked surprised, saying, old classmate, why did you come with Tan Xiao? Don't tell me you're also. Don't talk nonsense, said Qing Yannan hurriedly. Yuan Chuling rolled his eyes again and snorted, humph, I won't say anything if you don't want to. Everyone is well aware of your matter. Also, even if we're dog fighting, it won't violate the law, right? Even if we did, there's still Big Bro Tang. With his abilities, it would be a piece of cake for him to fish us out. Not far away. Hansen finally couldn't bear it anymore and loudly asked, do you still want to play or not? Hurry up if you want to play. This young master will take the winnings to indulge in debauchery later. Tan Xiao's eyes swept over the dog in Hansen's hand, and then shifted to the big yellow dog led by Yuan Chuling. He then shook his head and said, no need to compete. Yuan Chuling lost. Yuan Chuling stared blankly and hurriedly asked, Big Bro Tang, even if you lose, don't lose. The game hasn't started yet, how do you know I've lost? Our big yellow dog is an invincible god of war and the hen that laid the golden eggs for us. As Yuan Chuling's voice faded away, Tan Xiao led the big yellow dog to the front of the big iron cage. After sending the big yellow dog inside, he felt a bit helpless. His eyes were like torches, and he could easily see that the big yellow dog's situation was not right. He didn't even need to carefully examine it. He could see that the big yellow dog had been drugged. It was a conspiracy. Tan Xiao was somewhat glad that he had rushed over. Otherwise, Yuan Chuling, Yukai, and Hu Qingsong would have been schemed against today. Forget it. I'll just use a little trick to kill the fighting dog when the 2 dogs start biting each other. Tan Xiao thought inwardly. 2 dogs. They stared at each other inside the big iron cage, as though they were facing a formidable enemy. Suddenly, the fighting dog's ferocious nature broke out and instantly pounced in front of the big yellow dog. The big yellow dog, who had always been very strong, suddenly fell to the ground when it tried to dodge. Chapter 1054. Tan Xiao's eyes were like torches. He could instantly see that the big yellow dog had been drugged. At this time, let alone the ferocious fighting dog, even a small Pekingese would be able to bite it to death. Let's go! Tan Xiao patted Yukai's shoulder and turned toward the off-road vehicle. He had no interest in this kind of child's play. In his eyes, this kind of thing was as meaningless as a child peeing on mud. Yuan Chuling was dumbfounded as he looked at the big yellow dog that was bitten to death in the iron cage. Disbelief flashed in his eyes. Never in his dreams did he think that the gambling match would come to an end in this way. 3 million. Han Sen, who was surrounded by more than a dozen youths, came to Yuan Chuling and hooked his finger. There was a proud look on his face. He looked at Yuan Chuling as if he was looking at a clown. Yuan Chuling turned his head to look at Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong, who were equally stunned. He turned his head back and angrily said, "You cheated." Han Sen disdainfully said, "To catch a thief, one must first catch the stolen goods. Yuan Chuling, don't you dare slander us with empty words. This big yellow dog was brought by you. It suddenly got sick and was killed by my fighting dog. How can it be that we cheated? Are you a sore loser?" Yuan Chuling realized that there was something wrong with this matter, but he was speechless in the face of Han Sen's questioning. Indeed, he had no evidence to prove that Han Sen and the others cheated. Now, he was simply slandering them. "I'll pay." Yuan Chuling didn't care about 3 million. After all, the money he had won during this period was far more than this amount. He felt aggrieved inside. The big yellow dog that had won a lot of money for him was unexpectedly bitten to death in such a cowardly manner. After paying the money, he quickly came to the front of Tan Xiu amidst the ridicule of Han Sen and the others. Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "You guys don't do proper work. You even came to Jingmen Island to gamble. If it was before, I really wouldn't have bothered to meddle in your business. You don't care now, do you?" Yuan Chuling was unhappy and couldn't help but mutter. Tan Xiu slightly furrowed his brows and lightly said, "Your big yellow dog was drugged in advance. Moreover, the opponent's calculations were very accurate. He had waited until the medicinal effects had taken effect just now, causing him to lose the ability to fight at the start of the battle." What did this mean? This means that there's something wrong with someone close to you, because it's very difficult for outsiders to get close to your dogs. "Traitor!" Yuan Chuling, Yu Kai, and Hu Qingsong cried out in unison with shock on their faces. Tan Xiu said indifferently, "You'd better not have such unscrupulous thoughts in the future. You should be glad that the target of the poison this time was just a dog and not you. Otherwise, you would already be a corpse by now. Especially you, Yuan Chuling. You didn't study at Shanghai University, you didn't do your business, and you ran to Jingmen Island to do these things. I don't even have the strength to complain about you." Yuan Chuling awkwardly said, "Big Bro Tang, we've been very bored recently, so we ran out to play. Besides, we've decided to gamble again today. Regardless of the outcome, we'll be ready to return to Shanghai. Besides, the business in Shanghai is under the management of the managers, so I don't need to worry too much." Tan Xiu lightly said, "If those managers want to trap you, they can easily trap you to death by joining hands. Believing in others is always better than believing in yourself. The business world is a battlefield. Neglecting one's duty and being careless in the business world is akin to courting death on the battlefield." Yuan Chuling rolled his eyes and defended, "Big Bro Tang, aren't you being too alarmist? The business we're doing in partnership is indeed a certain competition with other fitness clubs, but it's unlikely that the outcome you said will happen. Besides, our business is so big that even if those managers are given the courage, they won't dare to mess around." Big business? Tan Xiu felt that it was necessary to give Yuan Chuling a good lesson. After taking out his mobile, he leaned against the car door and dialed a cell number, asking, "Professor Mo, how's the product development going? According to the report you gave me some time ago, the finished product has been produced, right? Didn't Chief Kong tell you? The product has been developed and the effect is amazing. Chief Kong has begun to prepare for the mass production 2 days ago." Mo Yi's voice came from the phone. "I see," said Tan Xiu. He had been staying at the blockade line in the Himalayas for the past few days. Due to the fact that he was injured, his mobile had been thrown into the interspatial ring, so he couldn't receive any signal at all. Even if Kong Xia wanted to find him, it wouldn't be that easy. Tan Xiu dialed Kong Xia's number again. After 2 rings, the call was picked up. "Kong Xia, it's me." Kong Xia's grumbling voice came from the phone. "I say, big boss, where are you now? Do you know that I've been looking for you for a few days? Every time I called you, I couldn't get through. I called Xiao Xue, but she said that you went to the Himalayas and encountered something important, so I didn't dare to disturb you. It's my fault. Tan Xiu laughed. I didn't give you the number of the communicator due to some special reasons. Is it about the aero glider? There are two things. The first is about the aero glider, said Kang Xia. After Professor Mo's research day and night, we finally got some results. Also, I've sent people to buy a lot of the raw materials needed for the mass production of the aero glider, and we're preparing for the mass production. What's the second thing? Asked Tan Xiu. My former mentor, Yabro Rothschild, the younger brother of the Rothschild family's patriarch, said Kang Xia. He specially came to our magnificent Tang Corporation. This time, he wants to establish a cooperative relationship with us. Tan Xiu squinted his eyes. He had heard the legend of this family countless times. It was simply one of the largest and most terrifying families on earth. The wealth they possessed could definitely be described as being as rich as a country. Perhaps this word was too weak to describe it. Tell me about it. Tan Xiu's tone was very calm. According to Yabro Rothschild, he proposed several ways of cooperation, said Kang Xia. First, to buy the core formulas of all the products of our magnificent Tang Corporation, and the price of each core formula is set at $20 billion. Second, to obtain the agency rights of all the countries in the world. They listed a total of 10 countries, and apart from our magnificent Tang Corporation, they are definitely among the top 10 countries in the world. Third, to fully acquire our magnificent Tang Corporation. Their offer is very high, $120 billion. Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing and said, their sincerity is really big. Even I'm a bit moved by this offer. However, the magnificent Tang Corp is the foundation of our development, so it's impossible for them to fully acquire it. As for the other two, it's even more impossible. If my guess is correct, there should be a fourth one, right? You're wise, boss. Kang Xia praised. The fourth one proposed by Yabro Rothschild is that they will establish a sales network all over the world, including exclusive stores in every country and city, while we provide the products and carry out the most direct cooperation. The ratio of the profits from the sales will be 3:7. Tan Xiu slightly furrowed his brows and indifferently said, 3:7? The three of us? The 7 of them? That's right, answered Kang Xia. Their appetite is way too big. Tan Xiu sneered. Don't you agree with this kind of cooperation? Asked Kang Xia after hesitating for a moment. I agree with this kind of cooperation, said Tan Xiu. But the ratio of profits and dividends must be 7:30 for us and 3 for them. Tell Yabro Rothschild that these are my exact words, and I won't change my mind again. You can discuss the specific cooperation with them if they agree. But if they don't agree, tell them to go back to where they came from. There are many big families with strong capital all over the world. If I want to cooperate with others in this way, I'm afraid there will be countless families who will be satisfied and come to discuss with us. All right, then I'll talk to him according to your idea, said Kang Xia with all seriousness. We'll cooperate if he agrees, but forget it if he doesn't. How's the effect of the new employees you've trained? Asked Tan Xiu. According to your order, there are a total of 5,000 new employees. All of them have undergone the most rigorous training and are now ready to work at any time, said Kang Xia with a smile. Furthermore, the second phase of training has already begun, and the results will be good in 3 months at most. By that time, we'll have 10,000 reserve employees. Although there's still a big gap between us and the world business stage that we're about to open, we'll have enough manpower in a short period of time. We'll recruit 4 phases of employees every year, with 5,000 people in each phase, said Tan Xiu. We'll train 20,000 employees a year. Even if Yabro Rothschild agrees to the dividend amount, our company's employees must be in the exclusive stores all over the world. Furthermore, we must be in charge of the financial aspect. I think they'll agree, said Kang Xia with a smile. Where does your confidence come from? Asked Tan Xiu curiously. The Rothschild family runs many of the world's largest banks, said Kang Xia with a smile. Once our company's products enter the world market, the amount of funds in circulation will be enormous. I'm sure that their family will never turn down such a big resource. Tan Xiu suddenly understood. His mind moved and a thought quickly sprouted inside his mind. But a few seconds later he suppressed the idea and sighed inwardly. The present capital is still too little, and there's no way to compare with those world-class financial tycoons. Otherwise, I can establish the world's largest banking system and control most of the world's capital chain. Then I'll be below one person and above hundreds of millions of people. Kong Xia, I'll return to Nine Dragons Island first. Keep in touch with me at all times. Once you've negotiated with Yabro Rothschild, inform me immediately regardless of the result. If they agree, I'll return to Star City in the near future, said Tan Xiu. Chapter 1055. After hanging up the phone, Tan Xiu subconsciously lit up a cigarette and thought about something in silence. He was definitely a person who regarded money as dirt, but he needed a lot of cultivation resources, and the most direct way to obtain them was to buy them with money. The magnificent Tang Corporation was about to open its money-making mode, and the newly developed product was the Aero Glider. Tan Xiu had a slight headache. He had painstakingly researched it and must use it to make money, but he didn't know whether the military could absorb all the production. I'll take it one step at a time. After thinking for a long while, Tan Xiu then looked at Yuan Chuling and the others in front of him. He sincerely hoped that these classmates and brothers could have a promising future, but he didn't plan to teach them cultivation techniques. The path of cultivation was full of thorns, and there was always the danger of falling at any time. Instead of making them risk their lives for cultivation, it was better to let them live a comfortable life for the rest of their lives. Immediately after, Tang Xiu dialed a number again. After the other party picked up, he said, "I'll be waiting for you at the Everlasting Feast Hall in Jingmen Island at 6:00 tomorrow evening. The big deal we talked about before can be completed." "What kind of deal?" Duanmu Lin's voice came out of the phone. "An aircraft," said Tan Xiu. "I'll be there at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening," said Duanmu Lin in a deep voice. After hanging up the phone, Tan Xiu looked at them and said, "Don't rush back to Shanghai yet. I'll take you there tomorrow evening to see what a big business deal is." Yuan Chuling, Yu Kai, and Hu Qingsong exchanged glances and secretly looked forward to it. They all knew that Tan Xiu's business was very big. The magnificent Tang Corporation was simply a money-making machine that could be compared to a bank's money-printing machine if it were to be operated. In the past, Tan Xiu had never let them see the scene of a business deal. But now, it seemed that he was finally going to show them his muscles because of their unscrupulous behavior. They couldn't help but look forward to it. As the saying goes, one is marked by the company one keeps. In the past, they did not have any lofty ambitions. Although they had fantasized about building a great career in the future, it was still just a fantasy. In the blink of an eye, they laughed at themselves and stopped daydreaming. But ever since they got to know Tan Xiu, they saw an unparalleled sharpness in Tan Xiu. Because of this, they didn't realize that under Tan Xiu's subtle influence, they also had expectations for the future and worked hard to plant a seed for their dreams in their hearts. Very soon, Tan Xiu then took Yuan Chuling's group to the Everlasting Feast Hall's HQ on Jingmen Island. He sent some people to settle Yuan Chuling's group of 3 and then directly left with Qing Yannan. In the spacious and bright room, Tan Xiu lit a cigarette and walked to the window to look at the lush greenery outside. He saw many guests scattered around, enjoying their leisure time. "Qing Yannan, have you ever thought about what you want to do in the future?" With his back facing Qing Yannan, Tan Xiu slowly asked as he puffed out a mouthful of smoke. Standing behind Tan Xiu, Qing Yannan had a complicated expression on her face. She knew Tan Xiu back then because Tan Xiu was kicked out of another class and transferred to her class. Originally, she didn't like Tan Xiu and even somewhat hated him. She felt that Tan Xiu, this rat shit, would affect all the other students in the class. However, Tan Xiu's achievements today were enough to make her look up to him. She even learned some things about Tan Xiu, only to find that she was simply blind at that time. It seemed that no one in the world was more outstanding than Tan Xiu. In the future? She had never considered this problem before, because she had even thought of committing suicide before. It was Tan Xiu who gave her a chance and also gave her hope. She didn't have much to worry about now, and her days were also very comfortable. At this time, after Tan Xiu's inquiry, she began to consider her future life. I don't know. Cheng Yannan was silent for a long time before she shook her head with a wry smile. Helping Tan Xiu manage the medicinal herb plantation and fierce beasts in the two islands in the South China Sea should only be temporary. But she was at a loss as to what to do in the future. Since you don't know, why don't you let me arrange your future for you? Tan Xiu slowly said. Cheng Yannan stared blankly and asked with a puzzled expression, How will you arrange it for me? I'm afraid you can guess what I'm going to do, said Tan Xiu. You've probably seen what kind of people I have under me. If you hadn't become an ability user, maybe I would have let you live a peaceful life for the rest of your life, find a man you like, marry him, and have a few children to spend the rest of your life. But now, you're no longer an ordinary person, so I think your life should be more exciting. Of course, the danger involved is also very big. It's up to you what to choose. Cheng Yannan thought for a while and asked, I want to know my big sis's life goal in the future. Do you want to arrange it? Tan Xiu nodded and said, Your big sis is a strong woman and also a very capable one. Since she knows some things about me, she can no longer simply belong to the country. I once asked her if she wants to be stronger and have a more exciting life, and I was very satisfied with her answer. She wants to. Since my big sis is willing to let you arrange her future life, then I'm also willing, said Cheng Yannan bluntly. My big sis is the closest person in my heart. Since she wants to walk a different path, I don't want her to fight alone. I want to be with her. Tan Xiu turned around and gave a thumbs up to Cheng Yannan and praised, You're worthy to be Cheng Shuemei's younger sister and my old classmate. You weren't even afraid of death back then, so I knew you'd make such a choice now. I'll inform the person in charge of the two islands in the South China Sea to temporarily transfer you away. You'll go to Nine Dragons Island with me tomorrow after I'm done with the business. I'll give you 3 months of training. If you can complete the first stage of the training after 3 months, I'll let you return to the two islands in the South China Sea. Where's Nine Dragons Island? Asked Cheng Yannan curiously. You're not a real disciple of the Tang sect yet, so you're not qualified to know where it is, said Tan Xiu slowly. I'll allow you to join the Tang sect as long as you can smoothly embark on the path of cultivation within 3 months and complete the first stage of the training. You'll know some confidential matters there. Cheng Yannan decided to hand the rest of her life to Tan Xiu and no longer cared about the confidential matters. She was just a bit surprised because she could tell from Tan Xiu's words that he wanted her, an ability user, to practice Taoist cultivation arts and become a cultivator. Are cultivators more powerful than ability users, Tan Xiu? Cheng Yannan hesitated for a moment, but she still asked about the curiosity in her heart. Tan Xiu couldn't help but chuckle. Ability users are just people who have obtained some kind of superpower, and the ability they can display is also the superpower. Cultivators, on the other hand, are different. Cultivators can summon the wind and summon the rain, chase the sun, moon, and stars, and even control the changes in the environment and time when they reach a certain level. It's not impossible for them to fly and traverse the universe. Ah, you're just bragging. Cheng Yannan looked disdainful and said, Do you think cultivators are immortals? Traversing the universe? If cultivators are so powerful, they can become the masters of Earth. Tan Xiu turned his head and looked at her with a faint smile. Give me a few more years. I can easily become the master of the entire Earth if I want to, and any human can only kneel before me. Cultivators are far more powerful than you can imagine. It's not impossible for you to break the shackles of this world and ascend to the immortal world to become an immortal when your cultivation gets stronger. Cheng Yannan was at a loss whether she had to cry or laugh. Hey, Tan Xiu, have you read too many Xianxia novels? Or have you been brainwashed by those Xianxia movies? If cultivators are really that powerful, I'm afraid everyone can become an immortal by cultivating. Whoosh! Tan Xiu didn't use his mouth to answer Cheng Yannan, but directly used his actions to prove it. He dashed to Cheng Yannan's side in an instant, reached out to hug her slender waist, and instantly disappeared from the room. The next moment, he appeared a kilometer high in the sky with Cheng Yannan in his arms. Even though Qing Yannan had become an ability user and had a bit of knowledge, she was still scared and screamed again and again. Don't scream like a ghost. Be careful not to damage the cat. Tan Xiao looked down at the ground and quietly took out 2 invisibility charms from his interspatial ring and quickly put them on the 2 of them. Nowadays, technology was very advanced and there were satellites monitoring the sky. He didn't want the scene of him hugging a woman and standing a kilometer high in the sky to be captured by the satellites. Qing Yannan finally calmed down from her fear. Her eyes stared wide and looked a bit nervous. She carefully observed the scene in all directions and asked with a trembling voice, "You? How did you do it?" Tan Xiao couldn't help laughing and said, "Haven't you seen me in action before? Now we're just flying higher than before, yet you're scared?" Qing Yannan gulped and said with lingering fear, "It's unbelievable. I didn't expect that even Superman is not as good as you. Could it be that you've cultivated to the immortal realm?" "I still have a long way to go to become an immortal." Tan Xiao shook his head and said, "I can only be regarded as a somewhat powerful cultivator. As for becoming a deity, I'm afraid it will take a long time. All right, let's go back." Having said that, Qing Yannan only felt that the world was spinning before she returned to the spacious and bright room. She rubbed her eyes and secretly pinched her waist. She felt a burning pain and finally confirmed that she wasn't dreaming. At this moment, Qing Yannan looked at Tan Xiao with eyes full of worship. She suddenly felt that it was a wise decision to let Tan Xiao arrange her future life path. It would be a great feeling if she could become as strong as him in the future. "I also want to become a cultivator. I want to be able to fly in the sky easily like you," Qing Yannan clenched her fists and firmly said. Chapter 1056. The setting sun hung on the western horizon, and the sky was filled with red clouds like slowly flowing blood. Even though it was already October, the weather in Jingmen Island was still a bit hot. 6 o'clock in the evening. 2 black Audi cars slowly entered the Everlasting Feast Hall. The person in charge of the Everlasting Feast Hall quickly greeted them and brought Duan Mulin and the senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau to the restaurant's VIP lounge. Fragrant tea and fruits. As the waiters and waitresses brought these things and then left, Tan Xiao came in from the outside with a smile on his face. Behind him were Yuan Chuling, Yu Kai, Hu Qingsong and Qing Yannan, who came to watch the fun. "Senior Duanmu, I apologize for not coming out to greet you." Tan Xiao came to Duan Mulin with a smile. He watched him get up from the sofa and shook hands with him. Then he shook hands with the senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau. Duan Mulin's eyes then swept over Yuan Chuling's group of 4 behind Tan Xiao and smilingly said, "Who are they, Tan Xiao?" "They're just here to join in the fun, Senior Duanmu. You don't need to pay attention to them," Tan Xiao smilingly said. "The reason why I brought them here is to let them see what a big business is." A look of surprise appeared on Duan Mulin's face. He knew Tang Xiao quite well and knew that Tang Xiao always had a deep purpose in doing things. Bringing these young people here was probably not just to let them see some big business. However, since Tan Xiao had said so, he wouldn't drive them out. As they took their seats, he smilingly asked, "Since you've developed the aircraft, why don't you let me have a look at it before we trade?" Tan Xiao clapped his hands and smilingly said, "Come on in." Immediately, Kong Xia, who was waiting outside the door, walked into the hall with a black suitcase. She had rushed to Jingmen Island early this morning and personally brought the aeroglider she had developed. "Kong Xia, take out the aircraft and show it to Senior Duanmu," said Tan Xiao with a smile. Kong Xia faintly smiled and put the black suitcase on the tea table in front of Duan Mulin and several high-level members of the Special Abilities Bureau. After 2 unlocking processes, the black suitcase was opened by her and inside was an oblate frisbee with 2 footprints on its surface. "Senior Duanmu, this is a high-tech product developed by our magnificent Tang Corporation. We originally named it Aeroglider, but Tan Xiao felt that the name was too unsophisticated, so he directly named it Hectometer Aeroglider," said Kong Xia with a smile. Duan Mulin personally took the drone out of the black suitcase and held it in his hand to carefully observe it. The higher-ups of the Special Abilities Bureau also came over to study the uniqueness of this thing. Unfortunately, after studying it for more than 10 minutes, they still couldn't figure it out. Chief Kong, can you give us a detailed introduction of its functions? It's best to demonstrate it to us if possible, said Duanmu Lin. Kong Xia faintly smiled and said, I'll give you a detailed introduction first. As for the demonstration, we need to go to an open place outside. After all, there are many guests in this restaurant and it's easy to attract others' attention. I think Senior Duanmu also doesn't want the news about the hectometer aeroglider to be easily leaked out, right? That's right. Please keep it a secret, said Duanmu Lin hurriedly. This hectometer aeroglider is a high-tech product developed by a large number of researchers, geomancers, and even some people from the occult sect. Kong Xia smiled. We've invested a lot of manpower, material resources, and financial resources to develop it. It was oblate in shape, just like the shield held by the captain of the American team in the American blockbuster. However, on its surface, there were two concave layers, which were made according to the size of the feet standing on it. I have a switch in my hand with two buttons on it, one for start and the other for stop. When a person stands on the hectometer aeroglider, two buckles will extend out from both sides of the two concave layers and directly fix the feet on it to ensure the safety of the user. Additionally, it adopts the gravity of space and has a great anti-gravitational system. It's also equipped with sensing equipment and array patterns that cultivators are proficient in. With the combination of these, the user can step on it and fly in the air. The hectometer aeroglider is equipped with sensors that can sense the surrounding environment, just like the ultrasonic waves unique to bats. If there's an obstacle ahead, it will automatically plan the route even if the user doesn't react in time to ensure the user's safety. We've also developed an energy battery inside it. Each energy battery can ensure that the aeroglider can fly for 100 kilometers. When the internal power is exhausted, the battery needs to be replaced and continued to be used. Customers who buy the hectometer aeroglider will get 2 energy batteries for free from the magnificent Tang Corporation. It also has another special function. Not only can it fly in the sky, but it can also row on the water surface. When the user stands on it, he can control the hectometer aeroglider to travel quickly on the calm water surface. It can even reduce the power consumption. Having said that, Kong Xia turned her head to glance at Tan Xiu. She saw a smile on his face and was very satisfied with her explanation, which immediately made her feel warm inside. Then, she faced Duanmu Lin and the senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau and continued, We set the price of each hectometer aeroglider at 2 million renminbi, and each battery is 200 renminbi. As for the material used to produce the aeroglider, we've adopted the latest high-tech hybrid material. This material is extremely strong, almost comparable to the hardness of diamonds. Therefore, it has a very long lifespan and can guarantee that it won't malfunction within a range of 200,000 kilometers. As long as it's not deliberately damaged, there will be absolutely no problem. Duanmu Lin and the senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau looked shocked. After hearing Kong Xia's explanation just now, they were keenly aware that the technology of this hectometer aeroglider was definitely far beyond the world's top technology. If its effect was really as Kong Xia said, then this thing was simply an excellent technological product. It could even become a milestone in the history of mankind toward a higher level of technology. They also realized that once this hectometer aeroglider was used in the military, it would be an excellent combat equipment for the soldiers in the army. Every soldier would have the hope to become a superhuman. They even began to imagine the scene when this aeroglider was equipped in the army. Tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, or even millions of soldiers would be equipped with it and fly in the sky in a formation. Additionally, if this aeroglider were to be popularized to the general public, it would probably immediately win the hearts and minds of people all over the world. Its emergence could even replace luxury cars, airplanes, and ships, becoming the world's most advanced means of transportation. I want to know its speed. Duanmu Lin stared at Kong Xia with an expectant look in his eyes. Its top speed is 100 kilometers per hour, said Kong Xia with a smile. Senior Duanmu, you should be well aware that we actually have the ability to increase its speed. But if the speed is too fast, problems will arise, and the consumption of the energy battery won't be able to keep up. Duanmu Lin's breathing turned rapid. A top speed of 100 kilometers per hour was already far beyond his expectation. However, it would be better if this aeroglider could go faster. Chief Kong, I want to know how long it will take for your magnificent Tang Corporation to start producing the upgraded version after the launch of this aeroglider. You should have some ideas about the upgraded version, and I want to know the effect of the upgraded version, said Duanmu Lin quickly. Kong Xia turned to look at Tan Xiu with a hesitant look on her face. This was the group's technological secret, and she was absolutely unwilling to disclose it to anyone without Tan Xiu's permission. Senior Duanmu, Kong Xia once reported this issue to me, said Tan Xiu with a faint smile. I can tell you if you really want to know now. The speed of this hectometer aeroglider can be doubled in half a year at most, and the energy battery can also last for 200 kilometers. 200 kilometers per hour? Duanmu Lin's breathing turned rapid, and his eyes turned particularly bright. Half a minute later, he slowly said, I only have 3 questions left now. If these 2 questions can satisfy me, I'll order a lot of the hectometer aeroglider developed by you. Senior Duanmu, let's not talk about those 3 questions first. Tan Xiu let out a faint smile and said, Can you represent the military to discuss this deal with me? I have an imperial sword in my hand, said Duanmu Lin in a deep voice. Tan Xiu's eyes instantly lit up as he nodded and said, If so, please tell me the 3 questions, Senior Duanmu. I'm sure you'll get a satisfactory answer. When the user uses the hectometer aeroglider, they need to fly at a high altitude. How high can it fly? Asked Duanmu Lin. The highest altitude is 200 meters, answered Tan Xiu. I can accept this height, said Duanmu Lin with satisfaction. The second question is, when the user uses the hectometer aeroglider to fly at a high altitude, the wind will inevitably affect the user. You should know that the wind will have a very serious impact on the user if they are directly exposed to the outside. What I want to know is, how do you solve this problem? Tan Xiu smiled and gestured to Kong Xia, hinting her to explain. When the user uses the hectometer aeroglider, a transparent energy shield will appear. It has a very strong ventilation effect and can even protect the user's body. Even if the user encounters objects or birds at a high altitude, it can block all of them. Unless someone shoots with a gun, otherwise the user will never be hurt. Kong Xia said with a smile. Energy shield? Duanmu Lin suddenly got up with a horrified expression on his face. He never dreamed that Kong Xia would give him such an answer. Chapter 1057. Duanmu Lin had watched a lot of foreign blockbusters, and this kind of futuristic energy shield was definitely something he coveted. It would definitely play a vital role if this kind of energy shield were to be used in the military. For example, if 2 armies were to fight, they could definitely avoid a lot of bloodshed and deaths with the energy shield protection. Using this kind of high-tech technology on a small aircraft was simply a reckless waste of God's gift. Duanmu Lin turned to look at Tan Xiu and stared at Tan Xiu's calm face. Then he asked in a deep voice, Did you get this technology from the 3-star vestige, Tan Xiu? I did get some technological content from the 3-star vestige, Senior Duanmu. Tan Xiu shook his head. But it definitely doesn't include the energy shield. You should have seen the array I've arranged before. Once the array is activated, it will form an energy shield, and the hectometer aeroglider has an array inside it. So when the hectometer aeroglider is activated, it's equal to activating the defensive array and forming an energy shield. Don't tell me you didn't realize it? An energy battery can only run for 100 kilometers? Duanmu Lin suddenly understood, but he still couldn't figure out Tan Xiu's last question, so he asked, What did you realize? The energy battery's consumption. Tan Xiu said helplessly. Without the energy shield's consumption, an energy battery can make the hectometer aeroglider fly for at least 500 kilometers, maybe even farther. Duanmu Lin immediately understood and nodded. What you said makes sense. I've done some research on arrays recently and found that most of the materials needed to arrange them are jades. Does that mean that jades also contain energy? That's right, said Tan Xiu. Duanmu Lin gave a thumbs up to Tan Xiu and praised, "You actually used this kind of cultivation content in a technological product. I, Duanmu Lin, can only use the word admire to describe it. You're a genius, Tan Xiu. You're definitely a genius that surpasses everyone else." "You're flattering me, Senior Duanmu." Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing. "Tell me your third question." Duanmu Lin said, "Will the upgraded version of the hectometer aeroplane have more functions? If you can satisfy me with this last question, I can sign a contract with you right now." Tan Xiu and Kang Xia exchanged glances. When Kang Xia was about to speak, Tan Xiu slightly raised his hand to stop her and said, "I can assure you that the upgraded version of the hectometer aeroglider will have at least one more function." "What kind?" Duanmu Lin asked impatiently. Tan Xiu said solemnly, "Invisibility." "What?" Duanmu Lin was frightened by Tan Xiu's words. Invisibility was equivalent to being invisible. If anyone in this world could be invisible, it would be too terrifying. Tan Xiu said, "However, we are not going to sell this invisible aircraft because its function is too terrifying. If it is used by some bad guys, it will cause great harm." Duanmu Lin was relieved, and his heart was burning with passion. If the 100-mile flying device could become invisible, it would definitely not be any worse than a godly weapon. In the future, if the soldiers of China activated stealth mode and fought against the enemy, they would definitely be able to one-sidedly slaughter the enemy. After all, the enemy couldn't see him, but he could clearly see the enemy. Even when he was right in front of the enemy wouldn't notice. That effect, Duanmu Lin shot a deep look at Tan Xiu and said, "I believe in your character and your guarantee. Tan Xiu, if your magnificent Tang Corp develops a stealth hectometer aeroglider, you must never sell it to anyone or any force other than the Chinese National Security Agency. Otherwise, the strategic structure of the entire world would undergo earth-shattering changes. And this kind of change will bring huge hidden dangers to the various countries." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "Don't worry, I know what to do. Also, even if I sell it to the Chinese military, the quantity won't be too much, because this kind of invisibility function requires me to do it myself. My time is limited, so I can only sell 100 to the Chinese military at most." "That's enough." Duanmu Lin nodded in satisfaction. "Then, can we sign the contract now?" asked Tan Xiu with a smile. "If my guess is correct, you should have already prepared the contract," said Duanmu Lin. "Take it out and let us have a look. If we think there's no problem, we can sign the contract now." Tan Xiu let out a faint smile and gestured to Kang Xia. The latter immediately dialed a number, and a senior executive of the magnificent Tang Corp came in with 2 contracts. Tan Xiu didn't rush and calmly waited for Duanmu Lin and the other senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau to finish reading the contract. "The contract is fine. The quantity isn't filled in, so it should be reserved for us, right?" Duanmu Lin smiled and said, "Of course, I also need to know how big the order our country can place." Tan Xiu nodded. "If it's too small, I'll have to promote the aeroglider to the people. After all, we're investing in the research and development, and the manpower, material, and financial resources are huge. If it's too small, we won't be able to generate profits and may even suffer losses. I need to go out and make a phone call." Duanmu Lin nodded. "Please do as you wish," said Tan Xiu with a smile. Duanmu Lin got up and left the hall with the senior executives of the Special Abilities Bureau. Not far away, on the high-end leather sofa, Yuan Chuling, Yu Kai, Hu Qingsong, and even Qing Yannan, who had a special ability, were all dumbfounded and had yet to sober up from the shock. Unparalleled shock. In the past, they thought that the magnificent Tang Corp only had a few kinds of products, such as cosmetics, nutritional products, or fine wine like God's nectar. But now, the conversation between Tan Xiu and Duanmu Lin made them realize that the magnificent Tang Corp also had other products, and this product was simply terrifying. It was an aeroglider. It was something that could only be seen in science fiction novels and sci-fi movies. The level of science and technology was at least decades ahead of the modern technology, and even hundreds of years ahead of it. Tan Xiu looked at the four people and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He coughed twice and smilingly asked, "Are you scared out of your wits? Did you realize that what I'm doing is a big deal?" Yuan Chuling's family was inextricably linked with the military, and his father had developed technological weapons and sold them to the military. Therefore, he was the first among the four to sober up. However, when he looked at Tang Xiu, aside from the deep shock in his eyes, there was also an indescribable complicated expression. "You shouldn't have brought us here, eldest brother." Yuan Chuling took a deep breath and forced a smile. Tan Xiu squinted his eyes and asked, "Have you realized it?" Yuan Chuling nodded and said, "We're fools if we still can't realize it. This is the core secret of your magnificent Tang Corp and also a state secret. Big Bro Tang, even if you trust us, you shouldn't have brought us here." Realized it? Yu Kai, Hu Qingsong and Qing Yannan, who had just sobered up from the shock, cursed Yuan Chuling inwardly at the same time. They didn't realize the situation just now, and now Yuan Chuling clearly said that they were fools. "I believe you, not only because of your characters, but also because I believe that you won't dare to spread this matter out," said Tan Xiu with a faint smile. "Senior Duanmu is a state personnel, and a very special one at that. If you dare to spread this matter out, it's tantamount to betraying the state's top secret. Not only will you be court-martialed, but you'll also be shot to death." Hiss! Yuan Chuling's group of four gasped cold air at the same time. "All right, just keep this matter deep in your heart." Tan Xiu smiled and said, "It won't be long. My magnificent Tang Corp will announce the hectometer aeroglider to the public in a year at most. At that time, we will also sell it to customers all over the world." The four immediately felt relieved after hearing it. Immediately after, they looked excited. If the magnificent Tang Corp sold the hectometer aeroglider to the public, wouldn't it mean that they could also buy it? Everyone had the dream of flying. They were all ordinary people, so they were naturally no exception. They looked at the hectometer aeroglider on the tea table and began to fantasize that they would be able to step on the hectometer aeroglider and fly freely like birds in the air of the island in the near future. Half an hour later, Duanmu Lin and the top executives of the Special Abilities Bureau returned to the hall with a bit of joy on their faces. After taking a seat, Duanmu Lin said, "Tan Xiu, the big boss wants me to pass a message to you." Tan Xiu's expression slightly changed and he nodded with a solemn expression. "What is it?" "If you want to fully operate the hectometer aeroglider and sell it to the public, you must develop the upgraded product first," said Duanmu Lin. "Our country must master the most advanced aeroglider, at least much more advanced than the ones in the ordinary market." "No problem." Tan Xiu nodded happily. "If you want to buy the product in our country, the magnificent Tang Corp will be in charge of the sales and the state won't participate," said Duanmu Lin again. "But if you want to sell the product all over the world, are you willing to cooperate with the state? You should know how big the impact will be once this product is promoted all over the world. Having the state backing you is the biggest guarantee for your magnificent Tang Corporation." Tan Xiu was shaken inwardly and asked in a deep voice, "What does the state want?" "The big boss wants us to have the price starting from the upgraded version," said Duanmu Lin with a smile. "Of course, the state will also greatly support all the businesses of your magnificent Tang Corp in the country. We will also give you all kinds of preferential policies." "Deal." Tan Xiu was very satisfied with the proposal and agreed without hesitation. "Then let's sign the contract." Duanmu Lin said with a smile, "Our first order is 10,000 aerogliders and 1 million energy batteries. Once you send the goods to us, the money will be immediately transferred to your private account." Asking for monthly votes on the last day. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.